Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. I evolve infinitely in the Marvel world. Chapter 61. But although Sonia was frightened, she didn't show anything strange. Cassidon is the guest she will serve exclusively for the next month. If she makes the other party feel offended, she won't die because of this with the Nova Corps, but her life may be difficult in the next month. It's just that Sonia's breathing became slightly and slowly involuntarily, trying to adjust her mentality. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, I won't blame you for trivial matters. So you don't have to be so nervous. Harvey ate the delicious food, looked up at the nervous Sonia, and said, "Okay, Mr. Cassidon." After being told her thoughts, Sonia took a deep breath, calmed down, and spoke. To this, Harvey didn't respond and just quietly destroyed the food in front of him. Sonia watched with helpless eyes. In just a few minutes, this large table of food quickly disappeared under the graceful movements of Mr. Cassidine. The speed was too fast for her to understand. "Go get me food for the next 150 people." Harvey picked up the wine that Sonia had just poured and said, "Please wait." Sonia came back to her senses after hearing these words, looked at the clean dinner plates, and quickly put them away. "In the next month, you seem to be serving me. So there are some things I need to explain to you first. I don't have any special hobbies. I just like to eat. I eat an average of 4 to 5 meals a day. I need food for at least 200 people per meal. But I have to go out sometimes, so I don't eat on time every day. So every time I call you, you have to prepare food for me. As long as this is done, I won't deliberately embarrass you the rest of the time." Harvey saw Sonia's clean movements and said. When Sonia heard that he ate so much in a day, she glanced at Cassidon, who didn't look fat at all, and wondered how he kept in shape. However, Sonia knew that these words should not be said casually, so she still responded respectfully, "Okay, I will keep your reminder in mind." Immediately, Sonia put away the dishes and continued to prepare food. It seems like having someone to help prepare food would be a lot more convenient. Harvey looked at the cleared table and took a sip of the wine, thoughtfully. When he was in New York, he didn't consider finding someone to serve him because he was worried that it would cause some trouble in Blue Star. But now that he is in the universe and on the Xandar planet, operating as Cassidon, he can consider finding someone who can do things neatly to handle some trivial matters for him. However, in order to build up his reputation, he also has to perform many bounty missions. Find a good candidate to take care of some daily chores for you, and wait until he decides which planet to live on for a longer period of time. But now that he is staying in a celebrity hotel, there are people who can serve him, so he can deal with it first. As for Sonia, when pushing the cart to the food area, I changed to a larger trolley, looked at the dazzling array of food in the food area, and started to carefully select. Mr. Cassidine said he didn't have any special hobbies, he just liked to eat. So letting the other party have a better dining experience can be said to be an issue she needs to consider at the moment. "Sonia, don't I remember the guest you were responsible for? So much food gone so quickly. And it seems like you want to keep sending it." The chef in charge said something strange after seeing Sonia. "I'm just a person, but the interests of the guests I'm responsible for are that they like to eat and have a good appetite." Sonia stiffened when she heard this, and when she turned around, a professional smile appeared on her face. Regardless of whether she felt that Mr. Cassidine's appetite was outrageous or not, she couldn't talk about it to other colleagues casually. The workplace is very complicated. Sometimes, because of temporary complaints or unintentional remarks, you may be taken advantage of and suffer a lot. In serious cases, you may lose the job directly. Having a good appetite is a good thing. If he is willing to continue eating, it means that the food I make should also suit his appetite. After the chef heard this, a smile appeared on his honest face. "Yes, the guests I served seem to be very satisfied with your cooking. The guest is waiting. I'll quickly pick it up for him and send it to him." Sonia saw the chef's happy expression and said something against her will. Fortunately, there are many chefs in the celebrity hotel. There are 50 chefs in charge every day, and there is an alternation of 7 days, so there is no need to work continuously. Otherwise, if the other party knew that Mr. Cassidon alone might have to eat food for 800 to 1,000 people a day, the other party might not be happy. You have to know that even if the celebrity hotel is full, there will only be 1,000 guests, and most of them will only have a small taste and not eat too much. So what the chefs have to do every month is the day of the masquerade that takes turns. In the next month, as long as these chefs see it, they will most likely have doubts and complaints in private. So the time when I can be friendly with her may only be today. Sonia didn't want this either, but what could she do? Well, then hurry up and send it over. Don't make the guests wait. The honest chef smiled even more when he heard this. As a chef, apart from getting a promotion and a salary increase, there is nothing more satisfying than being praised by others for the deliciousness of your food. Most of the people who can stay in celebrity hotels are big shots, and the praise from these big shots is an affirmation of their cooking skills. I think so too, Sonia responded with a smile when she heard this, while quickly picking the food. The chef looked a little weird when he saw Sonia quickly selecting the food and piling up a pile of food, which was enough to feed at least 50 people. And having already taken so much food, Sonia didn't stop. After filling a large cart, Sonia went to pull 2 more large carts. This kind of behavior made the chef unable to calm down. Is such a large portion eaten by one person? He believed it when he said there was a party going on above. And not only this chef, but other chefs also looked at Sonia. Sonia felt the eyes coming from all directions, picked up the food faster, and pushed it out of the food area when she heard a few quiet words. Sonia, don't blame me for talking too much. You have been working here for many years. There are some things you cannot do casually. If the higher-ups find you secretly eating food, your salary will be deducted. A chef standing at the door of the food area reminded in a low voice. Thank you for the reminder, but I still know the rules. I'm going to deliver the food first. Sonia was a little helpless when she heard this, but she didn't know how to explain it, so she could only deal with it casually and left with a few dining carts. Harvey waited for less than 10 minutes, and Sonia had already brought the food. This efficiency is several times faster than when he went out to eat at Blue Star and ordered takeout by himself, which makes Harvey very satisfied. Sonia placed the food on the table again. Harvey didn't say much and started to eat. A lot of the food was something he had never eaten before. It seemed that he would enjoy it in the next month. Sonia saw that Mr. Cassidy did not say anything to comment, but continued to eat without saying a word. He just put away the empty plates and put new food on them. The food for 150 people was eaten by Mr. Cassidy in just half an hour. And his eating movements were so elegant that Sonia was a little curious about Mr. Cassidy's identity. However, she knew that she was just a part-time worker and did not ask rashly. Okay, you can rest today. Have breakfast ready for me at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Harvey took out a handkerchief and wiped his mouth before speaking. Okay, Mr. Cassidy, if you need any help from me, you can come to me. Sonia put the empty dishes back into the cart. Upon hearing this instruction, a smile appeared on her face, she responded and left. She didn't feel like she could sleep comfortably at night, because everyone who stayed at the celebrity hotel was a bossy guy. But Sonia has taken care of more troublesome ones before, so it's not a big deal. After Sonia left, Harvey looked at his evolution point, which currently reached 2.16 million. After eating this meal, it directly increased 64,000 evolution points. Harvey directly chose to let the void skin evolve again. A huge mantis shadow appeared behind him. The void skin had evolved 82 times. He discovered that the stronger the physical body, not only the ability to save life was stronger, but also the abilities he mastered could be increased. After Harvey finished evolving, he walked into the bathroom and took a bath while using the cosmic communicator to start the reward mission. Now he doesn't have to hide and can accumulate a lot of wealth in the shortest possible time. As for fame, as long as he completes it quickly enough, some butterfly effects will definitely occur. The value of the first level bounty mission was too low, and it would not increase the popularity of the mission, so Harvey directly ignored it and looked at the second and third level bounty missions. The level 2 tasks are really not that close, and all the recent tasks have been completed. The desert disaster task was caused by too many people wanting to take it, but no one completed it. Harvey clicked a few times and chose the task format of clearing up disasters, with a minimum bounty of 4.5 million. Not only can you make money by clearing disasters, but some of them are edible, so Harvey plans to complete these disaster-type bounty missions first. Harvey gave it a try, and finally chose to do a level 3 bounty mission to exterminate the alien mother bug, with the amount reaching 20 million. This mission also has a long-term mission with a first-level bounty to support the defense against the attack of the insect nest, and you can get 10,000 every day. But Harvey just glanced at it and didn't care, walked out of the bathroom and went to sleep. If a normal person comes to another planet in the universe for the first time, he may be excited or may feel uneasy in a foreign land and cannot sleep. But Harvey closed his eyes and fell asleep immediately. Because coming to the universe was something he had planned for a long time, so he wouldn't feel any uneasiness. Early the next morning, at 8 o'clock, Sonia delivered breakfast on time. She found that Mr. Cassadine actually got up so early, and her beautiful eyes flashed with surprise. Regardless of whether they are male guests or female guests, those who stay in celebrity hotels usually have rich nightlife. Therefore, most of them sleep until noon or even in the afternoon and evening. There are relatively few guests who can maintain a normal schedule. "Good morning, Mr. Cassadine." But Sonia quickly suppressed her surprise and said politely, "Good morning, Sonia." Harvey saw Sonia bringing breakfast on time, and nodded slightly when he heard the greeting. "Mr. Cassadine, do you have any plans for today? If you want to know more about Celebrity Hotel, I can take you to the various public floors and introduce it to you." After Sonia placed the various exquisite breakfast items, she stood 3 meters away and asked politely. If she can leave a good impression on her guests, it will not only improve her performance evaluation, but she will also most likely name her the next time a guest comes to stay here. "If I don't have anything to do, I just walk around, but I still have business to do." When Harvey heard Sonia's words, he stopped what he was doing and spoke. "It's okay. If you want to know more next time, you can tell me." Sonia didn't feel embarrassed at all when she heard this and said with a smile. She had no intention of prying into what Mr. Cassadine was going to do. Because you can make suggestions and inquire about your intentions, but you cannot inquire deeply into the privacy of guests. This is one of the principles of celebrity hotels. "After breakfast, I have to go out. You can rest as much as you like before I give you any instructions." Harvey saw that Sonia didn't ask him more after saying this, and his eyes were somewhat appreciative. "Okay, I'll be ready to go." Sonia once again heard the words that she could rest as much as she wanted, but she didn't take it seriously and said with a smile. When Harvey heard this formulaic answer, he didn't care and spent an hour eating it. Harvey disappeared directly in front of Sonia. "Mr. Cassadine. Mr. Cassadine, are you still there?" Sonia saw Mr. Cassadine disappearing as if he was invisible, and called a few times cautiously. However, there was no response to her words, as if Mr. Cassadine had already left here. Is it one of the 3 abilities of invisibility, wall penetration, and teleportation? This made Sonia whisper with a mixture of shock and envy in her eyes. Xandar can often see people and things from other planets, so having superpowers is an enviable thing. Because having superpowers that are different from ordinary people means more choices, and even leaving Xandar to seek development on other planets. It's just that except for some chosen people with natural superpowers, Xandar people can only obtain superpowers by joining the Nova Legion. Sonia also imagined what it would be like if she had superpowers. She no longer needs to be as tired as a dog for a monthly salary of 30,000 yuan. She is on call 24 hours a day, guessing the guests' thoughts, and being careful about all her words and deeds. But that was just a fantasy of hers. She was not born with superpowers, and she had no hope of joining the Nova Corps. Sonia neatly cleared the table and left. Harvey went directly to a pale green planet called Kilfstar, more than 1,200 light-years away from Xandar Star. When Harvey arrived, he directly overlooked the general landscape of the entire planet. It was discovered that 8 large insect nests had been built on various volcanoes in an area of 10,000 miles on this planet, and small and medium-sized insect nests were densely packed underground. Densely packed red-skinned, ugly-looking insects were doing their jobs in an orderly manner like ants. Near each large insect nest, there are solid front lines and a large number of troops stationed, as well as some strange-looking people resting. When Harvey saw these people, he thought for a moment and probably knew that these people were offering first-level rewards. But at this moment, Harvey noticed a huge red insect, extending its tentacles deep into the ground, absorbing the energy of the magma. The bloated and disgusting belly of this red bug also glows, with black shadows in the light, apparently incubating one zerg larva after another. 8 large insect nests occupy various positions in Wanli, and are built in an irregular shape around the position of the big insect. Obviously, this big bug that is located in the center of the earth and absorbs the energy of magma is the target of his trip. This thing is located deep in the center of the earth, and it is really not that easy to handle with normal means. It wasn't that Harvey couldn't do it, but he felt it was necessary to talk to the person who posted the reward about increasing the money. If left unchecked and this insect queen is killed, more and more insects will be born. So a black hole in the void appeared under Harvey's feet, and he instantly appeared in front of a military camp. Most of the people on this planet have green skin and look a bit like the Namekians in Dragon Ball that I saw in my previous life. Harvey's appearance instantly caused other people in the military camp to raise their firearms and make neat swishing sounds. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the entire military camp was filled with a chilling air. A green-skinned man with a scar on his face saw Harvey's appearance and stretched out his hand to calm them down. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" Then he looked at the unknown visitor wearing golden armor and asked. "My name is Cassidon, and I accepted the reward for killing the insect mother. But I found that the reward of 20 million was a little bit low, so I wanted to add more money. You guys find someone who has the right to speak and talk to me." Harvey heard this and explained his purpose of coming. Cassidon, right, my name is Bryden, the person in charge of this military camp. The fact that you can accept a level 3 bounty means you are at least a level 2 bounty hunter. I admire you level 2 bounty hunters because it means you all have abilities that are different from ordinary people. But let me tell you, you are not the only second-level bounty hunter who has taken on the task of exterminating the insect mother. But most of them didn't fight here for long, and they all went back in dejection with their tails between their legs. I hope you won't be like them. This green-skinned man with shocking scars on his face, wearing a military uniform with some medals on his chest, and exuding a fierce aura, spoke. They have nothing to do with me. As long as you add money, I can help you kill the insect mother. Harvey heard some sarcasm in Bryden's words, but didn't care and spoke. Harvey's words immediately made everyone else around the military camp laugh. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Many people have asked us to increase our remuneration, but none of them have succeeded. Because that bug mother is somewhere underground. And the underground is the nest of those bugs, and there are many people who have been eaten by bugs. As long as you can really deal with the insect mother, let alone 20 million, 50 million, 100 million or even more conditions, as long as you say we can satisfy you. Bryden couldn't help but smile when he heard the man named Cassidon speak so arrogantly. Harvey originally wanted to mention that 30 to 40 million would be enough, because this task was actually not very difficult for him. It's just that he judged the situation on this planet, knew the reward of this task, and had a higher chance, so he planned to chat with the other party and make more money at once. Unexpectedly, the other party took the initiative to mention a higher price. The difficulty of this task is not that high, so there is no need to ask for more. A reward of 100 million is enough. Remember what you said, I don't like people breaking contracts. Hearing this, Harvey glanced around and said coldly. The people around him were caught by this glance and felt as if they were being targeted by a terrifying creature, and all the cells in their bodies were trembling. Immediately, under the gaze of many people, Harvey's figure disappeared. Then the next second, a terrifying sonic boom sounded in the sky, and the cumulus clouds in the sky were instantly exploded. A shock wave visible to the naked eye appeared in the sky. Although the distance was too high, it still caused some of the glass in the military camp to shatter with a bang. Many people present received some shock, and their bodies were directly thrown away, and they were thrown around. However, they were all battle-hardened soldiers, and despite the sudden incident, they still tried their best to protect themselves. What the hell is that? The soldier who was still laughing just now looked at the cloudless sky that he had not seen for an unknown period of time and said with a puzzled look on his face. Others in the military camp were afraid when they saw this inhuman power. They have seen many bounty hunters and people with superpowers who can break the speed of sound. However, the superpower's speed has just exceeded the speed of sound, and the destructive power caused by breaking the sound barrier is not so terrifying. The most important thing is that the superpower cannot fly, but this bounty hunter who calls himself Cassidon can not only fly but also has terrifying speed. If the sound barrier had not exploded and set off a shock wave at such a high place, but had been set off directly in front of them, they would all have been torn to pieces by the shock wave. Bryden remembered what Cassidon said just now. If the other party really killed the insect queen, even if he dug out his own treasury, he would still have to pay the other party the money. As long as the other party can really kill him, he doesn't have much hope. Immediately, a slight vibration came from under the feet, and countless gravels shook up like a precursor to disaster. Braden's face suddenly changed and he said loudly, "That guy used an energy weapon. Get on the battleship quickly." Each soldier felt the vibration on the ground, their expressions changed suddenly, and they quickly ran to the transport warship in the military camp. In less than a few dozen seconds, they all evacuated to the battleship. Didn't that guy read the bounty mission requirements carefully? Braden stood in the command room of the battleship and saw through the instruments the ground that was constantly vibrating and cracked, and his face was livid. They have fought against the alien Zerg for many years, but because the Zerg's nest is stationed in an extinct volcano. Therefore, they cannot use large energy weapons, otherwise if the volcano explodes, nearby volcanoes may also erupt, and the environment of the entire planet will undergo drastic changes. Otherwise, with their technology, it would not be difficult to directly eliminate those nests. But just because they couldn't use large weapons and could only fight head-on, they spent an unknown amount of money and killed and injured countless companions over the years. I have long asked the commander to cancel the bounty mission. These bounty hunters are all arrogant guys. An officer next to Bryden also had a pale face. He had always looked down upon bounty hunters, and he admitted that those who could become second-level bounty hunters had special abilities. With superpowers, he can do things that none of them can do. But precisely because they have superpowers and are extremely confident in their own strength, most of them are arrogant, undisciplined, and do things regardless of the consequences. Some even foolishly thought they could solve everything, so they stepped directly into the crater and became the rations of the Zerg. Putting these aside for now, the most important thing in this officer's opinion is that these alien bounty hunters don't care about the situation on Kilf Planet at all. If the volcano explodes, I will kill him no matter how much it costs. When Braden heard the words of the officer beside him, he felt extremely angry at this time. But he knew that with them, it would be very difficult to kill Cassidon directly. The other party may simply commit the crime and run away without meeting them at all. So he already had the intention that if the other party really messed up the matter, he would pay a big price for other bounty hunters to hunt down Cassidon. As they talked, the shaking of the earth became more and more terrifying. The soldiers in other military camps had no idea what was happening, but they all ran to the battleship to take refuge first. They watched the earth shake, and shocking cracks appeared on the ground. Some had bloodshot eyes with anger, some felt despair, and some showed expressions of relief. Years of facing these bugs here have already weakened the spirits of many soldiers present, and they may break at any time. I don't know what happened now, but there was a violent earthquake. Under the influence of this earthquake, the crater may explode directly. One by one, they looked at the location of the center source of the shock wave relayed by the projector. With a sound of boom, the ground collapsed and a terrifying big hole appeared. 1,000-meter-long red giant worm let out a terrifying roar, emerged from the large hole, soared into the air and floated in the air. The big insect is red in color and covered with scarlet scales. Its huge head has densely packed eyes, and its body is surrounded by densely packed disgusting mouths. At this time, this big red insect was waving its tentacles like giant whips. When it slapped down, the flames erupted and the earth shook, and thousands of meters around turned into a flaming hell. This big red insect seems to be some kind of unimaginable weirdness appearing in the world. Anyone with a weak mind will be haunted by nightmares just by looking at it. The appearance of this big red insect made everyone on the warships show expressions of disbelief. Has this guy evolved to this point? Bryden cursed when he saw the giant flame insect that seemed to be born from the flames, but his hand holding the cigarette trembled slightly. This giant insect was like a world-ending disaster sent from heaven. When it first appeared, it was only a few meters big. At first they didn't take it seriously and casually sent a team to deal with it. Until all of the team died, the big insect had grown to dozens of sizes in just a few days and directly penetrated into the volcanic zone. Let them throw rad weapons, and they cannot directly use energy weapons to blast the volcanic zone. Because once a violent volcanic eruption occurs and various volcanoes on the planet are triggered, this planet that was originally suitable for habitation and survival will become uninhabitable. Then they are not destroying the insect mother of the Zerg race, but are destroying themselves. This world-destroying giant insect has appeared for more than 10 years, and they have been fighting for it for more than 10 years. The world-destroying giant insects also occupy more craters. Due to the situation, all the countries on Curve Planet united in an all-round way, and technology developed rapidly, and they paid bounty hunters to come for support. In fact, this world-destroying giant insect emerged from the ground 3 times, wanting to officially expand its territory, and had several large-scale head-on confrontations with their alliance. They paid a heavy price in terms of casualties and were able to temporarily resist the expansion of the world-destroying insect. It's just that this world-destroying giant insect is still growing, getting bigger every time it appears. When he appeared 2 years ago, he was about 800 meters tall, and the scales on his body were getting harder and harder, making it increasingly difficult to penetrate. According to the Strategy Bureau's calculations, if they cannot kill the insect mother within 5 years, they will be forced to take the entire population of the planet and relocate to other planets. Completely destroy the planet's environment and return it to its primitive age. At that time, he thought that the Strategy Bureau was making a fuss out of a molehill, but now it turns out that the guys in the Strategy Bureau are really not working for a living. In less than 5 years, in just 2 years, this world-destroying giant insect has grown to more than 1,100 meters. It is like an entrenched mountain, which makes people feel scared when they see it. I'm afraid this situation cannot be delayed. When Brayden saw this scary big bug that gave people nightmares at night, he took a puff of his cigarette and said with trembling lips. Although Cassidon went to die, fortunately the other party forced the world-destroying insect out and let them know the situation of the world-destroying insect. Otherwise, if this world-destroying insect had been growing underground for several years, they might not even have the chance to prepare to evacuate. Lieutenant General Brayden, look. At this time, the soldiers on the warship saw an unbelievable scene and raised their fingers. Brayden saw that in the hell that was full of flames, a figure wearing golden armor walked out of the flames holding a purple sword. The blazing flame burned on the purple energy on his body, unable to invade at all. This guy is not dead. When Brayden saw this figure, his eyes shrank and he said in disbelief. At this time, Cassidon disappeared under the gaze of countless people. Suddenly, like a thunderous explosion, with a sound of boom, the body of the giant world-destroying insect appeared to be indented. The world-destroying giant insect hit the ground like a meteorite. The terrifying impact caused the ground within 10,000 meters to collapse and caused smoke and dust to fill the sky. The terrible vibration spread and everything around was destroyed. This scene was like a god being angry, leaving Brayden, many officers, and other bounty hunters stunned. There was an angry roar that anyone could hear, and the terrifying molten lava spurted out from the giant insect's mouth, passing like a laser, directly hitting Cassidon's figure. Boom, boom, boom. The magma directly dyed the world red, and the black mist floated up and enveloped the world, making it look like a scene of annihilation. The world-destroying giant insect is already comparable to a walking natural disaster monster, and no place where it passes will be intact when it moves. Contact me to the High Command. I want to apply for the use of interstellar rail guns. Brayden said with a pale face when he saw this scene. The current giant insect has grown to an extremely terrifying size, and even the impact just now failed to kill it. On the contrary, it made the world-destroying giant worm even more angry. He knew that if he didn't try to kill the world-destroying giant worm now, Kilf Planet would also be destroyed. So even if it detonates a volcano and he becomes a sinner, he still has to use previously prohibited weapons. If the interstellar railgun can't kill this world-destroying giant insect, there is nothing they can do. He's not dead yet, Lieutenant General Brayden. The officer next to Brayden said with a horrified expression. How is it possible? How is it possible to survive being hit by that kind of lava ray? Brayden raised his head in shock when he heard this. Under the gaze of everyone, Cassidon, who was wearing golden armor, erupted with dazzling purple light, and 100-meter high shadow appeared behind him. Who the hell is that guy? The god of this world has come out. Since Harvey had never been seen on the other battleships, none of them had any idea who the figure was who was fighting against the giant insect. However, the power displayed by this figure wearing golden battle armor and a golden mask on his face was beyond their knowledge. So some bounty hunters even thought that this was the appearance of a god in this world. In the long history of each planet, most of them have the shadow of gods, showing incomprehensible power. Now this figure wearing golden armor meets the power standards of gods. And Harvey looked at this big insect who had endured his own taste of fear, stabbed in the void, and even jumped with all his strength, but he was only injured but not dead. He knew that he could kill the giant lava worm, but it would take longer to fight. Because the life energy of this world-destroying giant insect is increasing rapidly when it is soaked in the magma, and it is rapidly recovering from its injuries. It obviously has strong regeneration capabilities. The longer this battle drags on, the more damage it will cause. At that point, it will no longer be a task but the planet will be demolished together. So Harvey decided to make a quick decision, without any reservations, and directly transformed into the Void Raider Kha'Zix. With a click, Harvey's golden armor shattered. At the moment of his transformation, Harvey heard a word full of loneliness and arrogance resounding in his mind. I sensed valuable prey. As the black shadow appears, even though it is extremely far apart. The soldiers on each warship were trembling inexplicably, and their whole bodies were trembling uncontrollably. The soldiers and bounty hunters on various battleships felt a terrible sense of crisis coming, as if there was no safe place around the world and death would come at any time. Whether they were soldiers or bounty hunters, they were so frightened that they fainted. Only one terrifying soldier who had experienced countless bloody battles and had a tough mind had not fainted yet. But even Bryden's face was pale at this time, and his whole body was wet with cold sweat. He watched Cassidy transform into a 100-meter-tall black shadow, but he couldn't see the whole thing clearly. He only saw a sharp blade filled with purple light. Then, the black shadow disappeared without a trace in an instant, as if hidden in the space. It was this disappearance that made Bryden lean forward, and finally he supported the table in front of him with both hands, barely avoiding falling to the ground. But his breathing was also extremely rapid, and his heart was beating wildly, resisting the feeling of helplessness and despair that seemed to kill him at any time. Others couldn't see clearly, but the world-destroying giant insect could see it clearly. This 100-meter-tall monster with purple skin and beautifully streamlined muscles saw its sharp claws exuding cold light disappearing into the air. The other party had obviously disappeared, but it made the world-destroying giant worm feel like a lamb isolated in the world, in an environment where he could die at any time. This invisible threat and sense of death awakened a fear that had never existed in its heart. Its only thought at this time was to escape, even if it didn't know where to escape to a safe place. The giant world-destroying insect wants to burrow into the ground as soon as its body moves. It wants to escape into the magma and escape to that comfortable place where it feels warm and secure. But the giant world-destroying insect had just made its move and was heading downwards. A pair of sharp claws with purple cold light shot out of the void and silently penetrated its body. Facing the blade of the void, it was just a defense. Facing the many slashes of taste of fear, it was just a few injuries. The indestructible scales seemed to have turned into bubbles at this moment, and were directly penetrated. The giant world-destroying insect still maintained its posture of rushing downwards, and its body suddenly stopped. The huge body of 1,000 meters was cut into 32 sections at this moment. Blood sprayed out like a small river, making the world feel like it was falling. It rained blood. When Bryden saw this scene, he was so frightened that he couldn't breathe. Then, before these huge corpses could fall into the pit below, they were floating in the air. A figure wearing golden armor also stood directly in the air. When Bryden saw Cassidy's figure reappearing, he came back to his senses, took a deep breath, and had incredible thoughts in his mind. As the giant worm dead, when he saw the world-destroying giant insect growing to a huge size of more than 1,000 meters. He thought that only interstellar railguns might pose a threat to the giant worm, and this was still uncertain. I never expected that he would be killed. Can this Cassidy really be called a human? Although he couldn't see clearly, he also saw that Cassidy transformed into a 100-meter black shadow, like the incarnation of a monster. But no matter how shocked Brayden was, when he saw Cassidy carrying the body of the giant worm, he stepped directly into a purple black hole in the void. A voice came from outside the battleship. I have killed the female worm, please prepare 100 million for me. Brayden quickly looked at the instrument and saw Cassidy's figure standing in the air outside the battleship. Should we pay cash or transfer money? Brayden faced Cassidy at this time and said with a trembling voice. Bounty hunters will bind an account, and if the other party completes the task, they can directly send money there. However, some bounty hunters who have been rewarded by one of the major empires in the universe do not accept transfers and only accept cash. Just transfer the money to me. Don't be afraid, as long as you can abide by the agreement, I will not take action against you, let alone kill you. Even if you want to ask me for help in the future, as long as you pay me a satisfactory reward, I can help you again. Harvey heard Brayden's fearful voice and said calmly. The defense of this female insect is a bit high. If he is not looking for a quick victory, he can fight it for a few minutes and he can solve it. But if it drags on, even if he kills the female insect, the aftermath of the battle will cause the volcano in this area to erupt. If these people are alive, they may become believers in the void in the future, so Harvey certainly doesn't want the planet to be destroyed. And when doing tasks, you need to control the scope of the battle, otherwise you will complete the task every time, but cause too much damage. Even if others know that you are very powerful, they will not want to appoint you to do things. In fact, if Harvey hadn't misjudged the mother's defense and went all out, the mother wouldn't have been able to escape to the surface and would have died underground. Then this Brayden shouldn't be so scared. Harvey dodged into the void and passed directly through the armor of the warship. As Harvey entered, Brayden's body instinctively took a few steps back. Transfer it, right, I'll pass it on to the high command. We will definitely give you every penny of your reward. When Brayden faced this bounty hunter named Cassidy, he did not dare to show any contempt in his words. Because Cassidy, who can kill the world-destroying insect, is also an out-and-out monster in his eyes. Even if Cassidy said he wouldn't attack him, when faced with a monster he couldn't understand, even if he wanted not to be afraid in his heart, his body would do the honest thing, which is to retreat. Harvey noticed the fear radiating from the other party's body and knew that it might not be effective to spread the void directly now. So Harvey glanced at Brayden, said nothing more, and left with dozens of pieces of the big insect's meat. The life energy of this big bug is very high, the highest among the creatures Harvey has ever seen, which means that as long as this big bug is eaten, it can provide a large number of evolutionary points. Although there were some parts of this big bug that Harvey couldn't accept, even if he put aside those parts of the big bug that made him feel disgusted. This giant insect, which is more than 1,000 meters long, also has a lot of meat for him to eat. So Harvey left the warship directly and found a larger store on Kilfstar and asked them to help process the food. The appearance of this prey startled all the chefs in this big restaurant. After knowing that they wanted to put aside the tentacles, the internal organs, and the head and only wanted the meat, they immediately started making them one by one. After more than an hour, through the cooking and baking by the chef, it seems that the appetite is not that bad. It took Harvey 2 hours to finish a large piece, and this large piece contained 530,000 evolution points. He couldn't help but sigh that it was indeed a planet-level disaster creature. After excluding the disgusting head, tentacles, belly and internal organs, there are still 27 pieces, which can allow him to evolve at least 9 times at a time. This made Harvey very satisfied, but he was afraid that this meal would take a day or two, but he was not short of time, so he took his time. Harvey was enjoying his meal. 2 hours later, there was a huge sensation on Kilfstar. The reason was that the world-destroying worm was dead. As long as the insect mother is dead, it is only a matter of time to solve the remaining insect nests. After watching the uploaded video projection, each and every big shot in the Geekko Federation seriously asked about the whole story. When they learned that this powerful man who was suspected of being a god was a bounty hunter named Cassidy, many of them had some thoughts and wanted to win over or make friends with him. Because they don't lack money at all, what they lack is the absolute force that can make the final decision. But before that, they gave priority to transferring the money to Cassidy. Because when Lieutenant General Brayden reported, he explained that the other party hated breach of contract and needed to transfer 100 million as soon as possible. For other things, you can deceive and fool around so that the money can be used for other purposes. But none of them had the thought of delaying this matter for 10 days and a half. The other party can kill the world-destroying insect, or if it is enraged, it may bring real world-destroying disaster to Kilfstar. Not only did the money transfer quickly, they also gave it the highest rating. I hope that this can leave Cassidon with a good impression of Kilfstar, which will facilitate their next cooperation. After transferring the money, the united community of Kilfstar announced the death of the world-destroying worm. The chef who was cooking for Harvey saw the host on TV describing the appearance and size of the giant insect and looked at the meat in front of him. "Are we dealing with a world-destroying insect?" His expression suddenly changed, his mood was filled with joy and shock, and he said something strange. "Seems like it." I asked, when did Planet Kerf have such a big creature? So that means the bounty hunter who killed the world-destroying worm is in the box now. Do it well for me. This is bragging rights that is hard to replicate. The chefs who are busy in the kitchen all have at least 20 years of experience as chefs. They had taken care of countless creatures, but they did not expect that they would actually be involved in taking care of the planet Kilf's long-hated world-ending disaster. After knowing the identity of the prey, the chef worked even harder to prepare it, wishing he could use all his skills to cook it in more cooking methods. Because there is only one such opportunity, this will inevitably become his bragging capital to other peers in the future. Even if all parts of the giant insect are removed, it is still huge and terrifying, and special tools are needed to cut off the flesh. Even if there were 20 highly qualified chefs, it would take a lot of effort to cook, but none of them complained of fatigue and were instead cooking with great interest. In just a few hours, everyone on Kilf heard Cassidon's name. The fact that the Kilfstar Federation issued a bounty mission is not a secret on Kilfstar. Because over the years, they have seen too many bounty hunters from aliens. Although it has not produced much results over the years, many people in Kilfstar feel that it is a waste of money. But now when a bounty hunter who can kill the world-destroying insect really appears, they only have admiration and curiosity in their hearts, wanting to know who this Cassidon is. Not only did the Kilfstar Alliance cause shock, but the bounty hunter world also set off a storm at this time. In the world of bounty hunters, even if you don't have the strength to complete the third-level bounty mission, you will still look at the general information on what to do. There are some third-level tasks that can be completed as long as enough second-level bounty hunters cooperate. But there are some things that cannot be accomplished even if we join forces. In the bounty world, many people who first entered the industry took over the task of supporting the Kilfstar, and they also knew the rules not to use some large weapons. Therefore, most bounty hunters know how difficult this seemingly ordinary task of exterminating the insect mother is. But now the bounty task list has been updated. The mission of exterminating the insect mother was completed, and it was completed by a second-level bounty hunter named Cassidon alone. Many people had never heard of who Cassidon was, but they were all shocked when they learned that Cassidon had only joined the bounty hunting world yesterday. In just 2 days after joining the industry, I completed a second-level task and a third-level task, and the task types were all troublesome disaster relief. Let them know that there is a real ruthless person in the bounty hunting world, and this ruthless person is named Cassidon. The bounty bar on Xandar was also very lively at this time. I guessed that Cassidon has the ability to teleport, but I didn't expect that Cassidon is really that ruthless. He really teleported to more than 1,000 light years away to do a mission. This guy is simply inhuman. Fortunately, this bar is relatively peaceful on Xandar and has no habit of fighting. Otherwise, when that person comes in and makes a few provocations, this place will be blood-bathed. Because there is a Nova Core on Xandar, people generally don't cause trouble in this bounty bar. After all, no one wants to be caught in jail. Being able to make a profit unable to see into the future already speaks volumes. What exactly is the Void? C-53 is a place called Earth, not the Void. Perhaps the Earth is also called the Void. Don't be stupid. Coming from C-53 just means that Cassidon speaks the language of the Earth. It doesn't mean that Void is C-53. This can only mean that Cassidon has been to Earth before and knows the language of Earth. That seems to be the truth. The origin of Cassidon is being seriously discussed in the bounty bar. This is not to blame for their curiosity, it can only be said that Cassidon, a newcomer to the industry, is too ruthless. The completion of the second-level mission within a few hours of their arrival gave them a lot of guesses and worries. Now in less than the next day, Kassadin ran to the Kilf star 1,000 light-years away from the Xandar star and completed a Level 3 mission that was considered impossible due to many restrictions on means. This is no longer something that ordinary superpowers can do. If this trend continues, they may be able to see the birth of the first Level 3 bounty hunter in the bounty hunting world. Lacey was also a little surprised when she looked at the extremely heated discussion. Kassadin's words and actions don't make people feel like a very powerful and dangerous person. Only because of his unique, mysterious and solemn temperament, people know that Kassadin is not an ordinary person. Will we see you again if we have a chance? Lacey put her hands on the table in front of her, dragging her chin, recalling some of the words she had talked with Kassadin, and feeling inexplicably looking forward to the next time we meet again. 2 days passed quietly. Regarding the completion of the mission to exterminate the insect mother, it basically only caused some disturbance in planet Kilf and the bounty hunter community, but it has not spread further. The origins and deeds of those big figures who are famous in the universe are extremely terrifying. Kassadin's deeds are very powerful, but they are far from enough, at least not to the point where everyone knows them. For example, Sonia in the celebrity hotel is currently in her resting room, looking at the communicator on her wrist worriedly. Originally, Mr. Kassadin said that as long as she didn't call her, she could rest as much as she wanted. She was very happy that she didn't call her all morning, because she could sleep a little longer. But until the afternoon and night passed, Mr. Kassadin didn't call her, which made Sonia feel that something was wrong. She would rather be busy than sit here and not be able to understand the guest's situation. It's just that she can't enter the guest's villa at will without the guest's permission, so she can only wait at this time. I hope it wasn't because of my service attitude that Mr. Kassadin was dissatisfied and made him leave. Otherwise, even taking a month off would still make her uneasy. While Sonia was waiting, a voice rang. Sonia, help me prepare some fruit tea and bring it up. When Harvey's voice sounded, is it Mr. Kassadin? Sonia trembled with fear and asked quickly. Yes. Harvey was a little surprised to hear this question, but he responded. Okay, I will send you what you want right away. Sonia had already walked out of the lounge when she heard this response. In just a few minutes, Sonia arrived at villa number 7777. Because I don't know what kind of fruit tea you like, Mr. Kassadin, so I prepared some more. When she saw a figure wearing golden armor and a golden mask lying on a sun lounger by the indoor swimming pool, a smile appeared on her face and she walked over lightly. Hearing this, Harvey turned his head and glanced at the densely packed fruit tea, and nodded slightly. Then, he casually picked up the fruit tea that had been placed there and took a sip. Ah, comfortable. The cold temperature and the moderately sweet and sour taste flowed from the mouth into the heart, making Harvey let out a comfortable breath. It took him more than 2 days to eat all the big insects, which directly contributed 1400W evolution points to him. Now he has 1550W evolution points, which can allow Harvey to evolve 10 times at a time. It evolved 11 times in just a few days, and he was undoubtedly very satisfied with the results. But even if those chefs were very good at cooking, Harvey was really tired of cooking the world-destroying insects in different ways. He doesn't want to eat right now. He just wants to drink some cool and delicious drinks to adjust his taste and digest his food. Mr. Kassadin looks a little tired. Do you want me to give you a massage? Sonia asked softly as she saw Harvey take a deep breath. I appreciate your kindness, but I'm not tired. I just did some things and want to take a rest. Harvey heard Sonia's suggestion and spoke. When he was at Blue Star, he needed to accumulate wealth quickly at the beginning and take on tasks every day. After accumulating wealth, he began a comfortable life of fishing for 3 days and drying nets for 2 days. If there is a high-priced reward, he will do it. When there is no reward, he will eat, exercise, and play games to survive. Occasionally I go racing, and when I meet a beautiful girl I fall in love with, I strike up a conversation and invite her to spend the night with her. Compared to the beginning, his strength has grown too much. Now, just completing 2 tasks directly made his wealth reach 100 million, and he accumulated wealth much faster. However, he has indeed eaten too much in the past few days, and Harvey cannot even take a break. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would lose his appetite and have to endure that feeling of hunger again. Do you want me to prepare some snacks for you? Sonia didn't care about being rejected, but followed Harvey's words and asked. No need for now I just want to have a drink. For the meal at 7 o'clock in the evening, you can help me prepare some appetizing dishes. Harvey kept moving his hands after hearing this, eating sweet fruits and drinking fruit tea. Okay, it will be delivered to you on time at 7 o'clock in the evening. After hearing this, Sonia clicked her wrist and a projection appeared. She clicked a few times quickly and recorded it. Later, Sonia stood quietly beside her, and she noticed that Mr. Cassidy's eating speed was obviously much slower than the previous few days. However, she noticed it and did not say anything without permission. Instead, she waited patiently for Mr. Cassidy to finish eating before putting the things away. After Harvey drank all the more than 30 cups of drinks with different flavors, the armor on his body disappeared. Quote. Sonia was about to pack her things and leave when she suddenly saw Mr. Cassidy's muscular figure revealed after his armor disappeared. She was fascinated for a moment and felt some ripples in her heart. But when she saw Mr. Cassidy's face, which had never changed and was covered in golden light, the ripples in her heart suddenly stopped. Harvey didn't care about Sonia's opinion at all. Wearing the swimming trunks transformed by magic, he jumped directly into the large swimming pool in front of him and started swimming happily. He knew very well that apart from doing big things that would shake the galaxy, such as going to war with Xandar or the Kree, or directly destroying various planets, there was no rush to build a reputation. Therefore, it is also important to balance work and rest. It will take several months to complete all the secondary and tertiary tasks of disaster clearance. Not only will his strength improve greatly, but he will also be able to accumulate a lot of wealth and fame. At that time, we will reach the next stage, preparing to establish the Void religion to attract other people to believe in the Void on a large scale. After Harvey had a good swim, he directly called the evolution point to strengthen it. The Void skin evolved 10 times at once, reaching the point where Harvey could feel the power inside his body getting stronger and stronger. He also discovered that the more Void skin evolved, the bigger he would become when he transformed into the Void Predator Kozak. When he transformed into the prototype on planet Kilf, he immediately escaped into the Void, otherwise it might cause a greater shock. Harvey clenched his fists, jumped into the pool again and swam slowly, adapting to his growing strength. Until evening, Sonia delivered food. Harvey ate these appetizers. The less evolution was better than the taste. This gave him some relief from his reduced appetite due to eating too much in the past few days. Don't forget it at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. After Harvey finished eating quickly, he gave instructions. Okay, Sonia nodded slightly when she heard this. After Sonia left, Harvey began to practice all night and fully adapted to his own strength. After enjoying breakfast in the morning, Harvey set out again to do his mission. Over the next month, Sonia discovered that Mr. Cassidy said he would eat 4 to 5 times a day. But Mr. Cassidy would go out after breakfast every day, but the time he would come back was uncertain. Sometimes I leave in the morning and come back in the afternoon or evening. Sometimes I go out in the morning and don't come back for several days. Generally, guests of celebrity hotels often need their help to find some beauties to serve them at night, or they may want to hold a party for them to find some attractive beauties to attend. Or perhaps Mr. Cassidy doesn't need anything like being on standby and following him around during the day. It has been a month. What she is currently doing is preparing delicious food for Mr. Cassidy when he is around, and occasionally preparing some drinks for Mr. Cassidy. This was the first time that Sonia discovered that her job could be so easy. At the same time, it also made her a little curious about what Mr. Cassidy did when he went out every day. Information about celebrity hotels is very fast, and you can learn a lot of information that ordinary people don't know here. But she had never heard anything about Mr. Cassidy. But Sonia didn't care anymore, because it was already the last day. If nothing else happens, Mr. Cassidy should leave Xandar and no longer live here. So this afternoon, Sonia was also doing tidying work for the villa. Prepare to officially enter the rest stage, waiting for the arrival of the next guest she will serve. And in this month, a name became known to countless people in the galaxy. It is widely spread among the powerful people, various planets, and even the high-level officials of several major empires in the galaxy. The reason is that in the bounty hunting world over the years, a third-level bounty hunter named Cassidon has appeared. This person's strength is extremely terrifying. He has completed 18 level 3 missions in just 1 month, and all of them were disaster type. Each monster is difficult to defeat even if multiple strong men join forces or even dispatch a fleet. But all those monsters died in the hands of Cassidon alone. Absolutely fast and efficient execution, and a bottomless strength that is even more powerful than any monster that is difficult to kill. There are many rumors about Cassidon. Some say he is a demon, some say he is a monster, and some say he is a god from the void. Mysterious, powerful and unknown, Cassidon entered the bounty hunting industry in just 1 month. He became the first level 3 bounty hunter in history. Moreover, the gold content of this third-level bounty hunter leaves anyone who wants to question it speechless. Someone already wanted to offer Cassidon a huge price of 50 million to help him complete the task, but he was rejected. The reason for rejection is that the other party will not accept tasks related to large biological disasters for the time being. This made the man who wanted to issue the designated task a little angry, but he didn't dare to scold Cassidon openly. Because one level 3 mission after another proved that Cassidon definitely has the terrifying power to destroy a planet. Countless bounty hunters in the bounty hunting world now have great admiration for Cassidon. Cassidon showed them that he was as powerful as a god. Now Cassidon's name is talked about by word of mouth in the bounty hunting world. Harvey, after taking out a flame demon, took the money and returned to Xandar. Harvey will eat powerful creatures even if they look disgusting, but he still won't eat creatures related to humanoid shapes. Although he would lose a lot of evolution points as a result, Harvey was worried that he would be out of control after eating it. Therefore, he still restrained his desires. Sonia was wiping the jade bottle when she heard footsteps behind her. She was not frightened, but turned around with a smile. "Mr. Cassidine, I'm going to prepare afternoon tea for you." Sonia had been frightened several times by the elusive Mr. Cassidon before. But after spending a month together, she was no longer surprised by Mr. Cassidon's sudden return. Harvey nodded slightly when he heard this. Sonia received permission, stopped what she was doing, and immediately went downstairs to get a drink. Within a few minutes, Sonia came up with one cup after another of delicious iced drinks. Today seems to be the last day. Harvey sat on the sofa and took a sip, then remembered something and spoke. "Yes, Cassidon, you have been living here for 30 days. If you don't renew, you will have to leave here before 12 noon tomorrow." Sonia also smiled and explained when she heard Mr. Cassidon bring it up. "I've never had anyone serve me before, but it feels good to have you help with some trivial matters. I want to stay here for a while longer. How do I renew? Can you renew for me for 1 more month?" Harvey heard this and spoke. "Mr. Cassidon, aren't you here to travel to Xandar?" Sonia was happy when she heard that the other party wanted to renew, but she still asked. "Generally speaking, guests will not stay here for a long time. Because if you live there for a few months, you can directly buy some luxury homes on Xandar Star. Although the environment and services are not as good as celebrity hotels, you can stay there forever by purchasing the property directly, without having to spend money in celebrity hotels all the time. I never said that I came here for tourism. I was just looking for a comfortable place to stay. I asked the celebrity hotel which one is the best, so I just came here to give it a try. But I'm quite satisfied with the environment of the celebrity hotel and your service. It's okay to stay longer." When Harvey heard this misunderstanding, he didn't mind speaking. Sonia is very smart and efficient, even if he lets her rest. As soon as she opens her mouth, Sonia will respond immediately. She is not lazy and is really ready to be called at any time. And Harvey knew very well that Sonia should be very curious about him often going out to do errands, because he could see it in his eyes. But Sonia never asked a question and only did her own thing. "Thank you, Mr. Cassidon, for the compliment. It is also an honor for me to serve Mr. Cassidon." When Sonia heard these words of praise, she smiled with joy from the bottom of her heart. How to apply for renewal? When Harvey saw Sonia's usual polite words, he didn't take it seriously and said casually. "Normally, let alone staying here for a month, even if you just moved in. because they will help introduce various functions in the villa so that guests can have a better living experience here, which they will already know about. However, after spending a month together, Sonia already knew something about Mr. Cassidy. Mr. Cassidy won't care about these trivial matters, as long as he does what the other party mentioned. Therefore, Sonia didn't explain too much and clicked a few times on a smart device. Then she flicked her jade finger, and a projection of the renewal interface flew directly in front of Harvey. After Harvey saw it, he didn't waste any time. He entered 30W, and then the glove on his right hand disappeared. Dear Mr. Cassidy, Sonia will continue to serve you for the next month. When Sonia saw Cassidy directly renewing the subscription for 1 month, she smiled sweetly on her pure and pleasant face and said, Harvey waved his hand casually after hearing this. Now he has almost completed the level 3 disaster tasks. After eating a lot of powerful creatures, Harvey evolved 79 times in just 1 month. Now he has evolved a total of 381 times, and his reputation has begun to spread throughout the galaxy. Void Skin allowed Harvey to evolve 150 times, and Leap evolved 46 times. The Void Skin has evolved so many times, and the jump attack has been improved, making Harvey's strength significantly improved. Now he can reach Mach 24 just by flying in the physical body. The strong wind caused by the extreme speed could not break through Harvey's skin. When the void struck, his speed reached Mach 36. Moreover, the more times the Void Skin evolves, the larger it will be when he incarnates into his true form, and he will be able to explode with power that far exceeds that of his unincarnated form. Harvey does not lack the means of attack, but what he lacks is the ability to protect himself. However, Void Skin has evolved 150 times, and the current strength of the physical body is sufficient for the time being. As he originally expected, the speed and opportunities for evolution in the universe are much faster than those on Blue Star. Now he still has level 2 disaster tasks to complete, which is expected to take about 2 months. By the time he makes a conservative estimate, it shouldn't be a problem to evolve more than 420 times. Therefore, Harvey plans to first add Taste of Fear, Void Thrust, and Mental Resistance in addition to Void Invasion, and then see how many evolution points are needed for each evolution after 400 evolutions. If it is not doubled to 300W by then, he can give priority to improving his mental resistance. Raising the mental resistance to level 70 or 80, combined with Cassidy's abilities, should give him the ability to ignore most magic. If the need for evolution points doubled, he would have to prioritize several other skills besides Void Attack. After all have evolved 50 times, and after raising the Void Attack to the limit, it will not be a problem to increase the mental resistance. It's not too late to evolve the abilities of Cassidy's hero template later. Anyway, the points for evolution are not public. As his physical strength becomes stronger and stronger, the speed of acquisition will also become faster. By then, it will not be difficult for Cassidy's abilities to evolve quickly. However, he has been away from Blue Star for a month, and now he has more than 1 billion in his hands and has accumulated a little reputation. He can consider buying something to take back to Tony for study, and he can also go back to Blue Star to have some fun. Sophia saw Mr. Cassidy slowly drinking the drink without saying anything or speaking. Instead, he went to the side and continued to clean the furniture that had not been thoroughly cleaned. After a month of getting along, Sonia clearly knew that Mr. Cassidy was not difficult to get along with, and he would not deliberately embarrass her. But Mr. Cassidy is not the kind of person who likes words, and often thinks alone. To be honest, Sonia was very curious about what Mr. Cassidy was thinking about and what he was doing when he always went out. But if Mr. Cassidy didn't bring it up, she wouldn't ask. Sonia thought for a moment why Mr. Cassidy praised herself so highly. Maybe it was because she didn't pry, but did what she should do according to the rules, that Mr. Cassidy was very satisfied with her. Immediately, Sonia didn't think much about it. It was already a very lucky thing for her to meet a customer like Mr. Cassidy who usually didn't ask for much. Now cherish this time when work is relatively relaxed. Sonia, I have to leave for 3 days. You can rest as much as you like while I'm gone. After Harvey finished his drink, he decided to go back to Blue Star and gave a few explanations. This was the first time for Sonia to hear Mr. Cassidy give a clear departure time, and she was a little surprised. Well, have a good trip, Mr. Cassidy. However, Sonia was surprised and responded quickly without any pause. Harvey nodded slightly when he heard this, and then disappeared into the room with one step. When Sonia looked back, she found that Mr. Cassidy had left. She did not go to rest immediately, but continued to clean the villa. Although it was easy to serve Mr. Cassidy, she still had to do what she should do. After Harvey bought a cosmic communicator, a cosmic translator, and some materials that Blue Star didn't have on Xandar, he landed directly outside the planet. Immediately, Harvey landed in a Death Star star field with 1 foot, then looked directly down at the Milky Way, quickly found the blue star, and descended directly into the void. In less than a few minutes, he returned directly to the moon across more than 1,000 light years. One step further and he returned to his manor in New York. After not coming back for a month, Harvey turned on his computer and found a message from Tony on it. Most of the messages were asking if he had returned and wanted to chat with him. Harvey saw some smiles on these faces, but did not respond immediately. Instead, he took off his golden armor, took a shower and changed his clothes. Afterwards, he made a phone call. And in the Stark Manor in Blue Star, New York. Tony was eating depressedly, not because the food was not delicious, but because his research had hit a bottleneck. Now his steel armor has been transformed to the 25th generation, but without better material production and research, it is basically just supplementing more functions without causing qualitative changes. In the past, when Harvey was at Blue Star, he could have asked Harvey if he had any suggestions. Now that Harvey has left Blue Star, it is difficult for him to find someone to talk to. But at this moment, a voice sounded. "Sir, Mr. Harvey is here to communicate. Do you want to get through?" Tony had heard Jarvis's voice countless times, but the news Jarvis told him was undoubtedly the sound of heaven to him. "Answer." Tony's eyes widened, but he quickly reacted and said immediately. Following Tony's words, Jarvis also helped get through. "Harvey, when did you come back?" Tony saw Harvey's figure in the video communication and had many questions to ask, but in the end he said hello first. "Half an hour ago, I saw the message you gave me. So I'll contact you and see if you are busy now." Harvey saw Tony's somewhat happy look in the video communication and said with a smile. "If I'm too busy to meet people, it's at night. It's only the afternoon now. How can I be too busy to see guests?" Tony said with a smile when he heard these words. "How dare you be busy at night now? Aren't you afraid that Pepper will be jealous?" Harvey said with some surprise when he heard Tony's words. "Stop talking, it's because of her that I'm busy at night." Tony heard a helpless smile on his face. Because he made an improved arc reactor, Stark Company is now on the right track. Pepper is responsible for managing Stark Industries, and he is not so tired and needs to take the initiative to travel around. Instead, other people take the initiative to contact Stark Industries, so Pepper is not very busy at work now. After Pepper joined the Void, her appearance became more and more beautiful, her body became stronger, and her flexibility was no less than that of a woman who had practiced dancing since she was a child. As the saying goes, being so full makes you feel good, not to mention that Pepper has a lot of free time at night, so she likes to pester him to do the things he likes to do at night. Fortunately, he also joined the Void, otherwise his body bones would have been directly hollowed out by Pepper. "I see, I brought you some things. Is it convenient for me to go to your house now?" Harvey saw the helplessness on Tony's face, but the happy smile that couldn't be hidden on his face, and said understandingly. "Of course it's convenient." Tony nodded immediately when he heard Harvey's words. As Tony nodded, a purple black hole in the void appeared, and Harvey's figure stepped out. At the same time, Harvey was also holding a large box in his hands. "This is the gift I brought you. There are cosmic translators and cosmic communicators inside, as well as rare and special materials in the universe." After Harvey came out, he threw the box away. "Cosmic translator. Can it be translated in any language?" Tony moved and took over. Hearing Harvey's words, he said with some surprise. "Many of Blue Star's translators now rely on Google, and after translation, they can only be roughly understood and cannot perform precise translations. If a truly powerful translator could be implemented, this would represent an immeasurable wealth. I haven't studied carefully how many languages it can be translated into. But with this thing, even the language you don't understand will be directly translated into the language you know. Harvey came to Stark's manor and was not polite. He sat down on the sofa and said. After hearing this, Tony opened the box and saw something similar to a bracelet, a transparent plate, minerals and materials he had never seen before, and some books. He couldn't understand any of the words on the books. Which one is the cosmic translator? Tony was a little ecstatic when he saw these things. For a scientist, it is impossible not to be excited about being able to access the knowledge of the universe beyond the blue star. That's the bracelet. It will be recognized automatically when you put it on. Harvey saw Tony couldn't stop smiling with joy and explained it. Tony heard this and immediately put it on his hand, and when he put it on. Amazing, Tony said with some emotion when he found that all the books that he could not read were in English. What is C53? But as soon as Tony said these words, he saw a projection pop up on his bracelet, marked C53. The cosmic translator, as long as you speak in the universe, it will automatically identify and mark which planet it comes from. And Blue Star's number in the universe is C53. Although Harvey didn't deliberately understand it, he still understood these common senses after staying on Xandar for a month, performing multiple bounty missions, and dealing with many people. This is too convenient. But that means you can't hide your origins in the universe. Tony was a little shocked to hear that there was such a convenient function, and soon realized the problem and asked. This cosmic translator can only explain where the language you speak comes from. It cannot completely guarantee that your origin comes from that place. If you want to hide your origin, then you have to learn other languages when you go to the universe. Because other people with cosmic translators can immediately identify the source of your language when they hear it. Harvey heard the words and explained. As for himself, he is not worried at all about revealing that he is from Blue Star, because there are now many rumors about his origin in the universe. Chapter 71. So the security in the universe seems to be pretty good. Tony heard Harvey's words, thought about some of the effects of the cosmic translator, and spoke. Of course, the public security on planets ruled by several big empires in the universe is better. But except for those planets ruled by empires, the universe is much more chaotic than you think. After all, there are too many planets in the universe. Some are more advanced than Blue Star, and naturally there are also planets that are weaker than Blue Star. When strength surpasses all attack and defense methods of a planet, there is nothing they can do even if the planet is destroyed. And because of the vastness of the universe, even if some planets and races are destroyed, others may not know who the destroyers are. Not every planet is as lucky as Blue Star. Not only is Odin guarding it, there is also the Supreme Mage guarding Blue Star. Harvey could understand why Tony thought so, so he explained patiently. It sounds like the universe is not as beautiful as I imagined. When Tony heard that the planet was destroyed, he didn't even know who the destroyer was, and said with a complicated look in his eyes. All intelligent creatures want to build something so that even after they die, they can have something to prove that they have been here. But in the universe, the entire planet may be destroyed without anyone knowing about it. Just thinking about it makes people feel sad. Whether the universe is beautiful or not depends on whether it has enough strength to ensure the survival of itself and even its own planet. If not, then the universe is indeed not a good place. Harvey nodded slightly when he heard this. Compared with other planets, Blue Star is undoubtedly lucky. Because there are big shots guarding this place, foreign enemies from the universe don't dare to come and jump around casually. Even if you jump around, you don't dare to cause too much damage, otherwise the Supreme Mage Ancient One and Odin who guard Blue Star will not sit idly by. Compared with the threats from aliens, most of Blue Star's threats are caused by internal fighting among its own people. According to the current situation of Blue Star, even if there is no alien invasion, as long as the World War breaks out again, mushroom eggs will bloom everywhere in Blue Star. For Blue Star, which has existed for a long time, the most it can do is that the creatures will become extinct and return to the primitive era. After a while, nature will recover again. However, for humans, mushroom eggs would be devastating if they broke out all over the world, and may even directly exterminate humans. Tony's eyes flickered when he heard this. He did not deny that Blue Star was lucky, but this luck was only temporary. Harvey said that in 2017, Blue Star will face a powerful enemy that requires them to cooperate with aliens. Therefore, He must make all preparations he can before the crisis arrives. This thing. When Tony picked up the cosmic communicator and wanted to ask how to use it, the lightweight cosmic communicator with a transparent screen automatically lit up and stopped talking. Rather than asking me, if you ask Jarvis to analyze these things directly, you should be able to understand them more clearly. Harvey said with a smile when he saw Tony's appearance. I'll take them to Jarvis for analysis first. When Tony heard this suggestion, his eyes lit up and he took off the bracelets in his hands. Immediately, Tony moved his body with the big box and immediately went down to the underground research room. Within a few seconds, Tony was back in the lobby on the second floor. Have a drink. Then, Tony didn't ask Harvey about the things Harvey brought back. Instead, he took out his collection of wine and asked casually. Now that Tony has evolved 48 times, alcohol can no longer affect him. However, he will still drink, because this has been his habit for many years, and it is not easy to quit for a while. Harvey smiled and nodded. How long do you plan to stay at Blue Star this time, Harvey? Tony heard that Harvey was willing to drink, so he came to the sofa and sat down with 2 wine glasses. He knew that if there was nothing that interested Harvey in Blue Star, Harvey would definitely not stay at Blue Star for long. Stay here for 3 or 4 days. Although the food in the universe is good, the food in Blue Star also has a unique flavor. Hasn't anything interesting happened to Blue Star recently? Harvey picked up the wine glass and took a sip before speaking. The two of them were just like friends, chatting casually. I don't know if it's interesting or not, but it's about what happened. My steel armor is rapidly updated and iterated, becoming stronger and stronger. S.H.I.E.L.D. came to me again, hoping that I could join the Avengers. Do you want me to join? After hearing this, Tony gently shook the wine glass with his right hand and said, I don't know if it's because S.H.I.E.L.D. was taught a lesson by Harvey last time, or if it's because his steel armor is too powerful. When S.H.I.E.L.D. contacted him again, their attitude was much lowered. They didn't dare to show off their domineering look, but instead invited him in a more friendly manner. Tony, even though you have joined the Void, it does not mean that I will control your behavior. So for this kind of thing, you just have to make your own decision. Harvey heard Tony asking for his opinion and said without caring at all. Don't you hate S.H.I.E.L.D.? Tony said a little surprised when he heard himself making a decision. Even if S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to quickly form the Avengers to deal with dangers that may come at any time in the future. However, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s previous arrogance was indeed quite annoying. Tony himself doesn't have much of a favorable impression of S.H.I.E.L.D. As far as I'm concerned, even if those guys from S.H.I.E.L.D. are jumping around, it won't affect anything I want to do. So as long as they don't bother me, I don't care about them. Harvey said calmly after hearing this. It's nice to be alone. But I may have to join in to help Blue Star because of its future. Do you have any advice for me about this? When Tony heard Harvey's words, he felt relieved and spoke. For Harvey, Blue Star may be just a planet where Harvey comes to visit, but for Tony, Blue Star is his home. So when it's time to do something, you still have to do something. Not all S.H.I.E.L.D. people are from S.H.I.E.L.D. Harvey heard Tony's words, thought about it, and gave him a suggestion. After all, the current Tony is not the original Tony. Not only did he join the Void, but he also obtained the cosmic translator and materials from the universe. The technology Tony masters will be further improved. If Tony is too involved with S.H.I.E.L.D., it may allow Hydra to get more things. So some reminders should be given to Tony. The most I can do is provide money and support them. I won't give them any of the technology I have. Tony heard Harvey's words, thought for a moment, then realized something and spoke. Harvey no longer hinted, but directly told him that there was a mole within S.H.I.E.L.D. Although Tony doesn't know the origin of the traitor, it proves that S.H.I.E.L.D. is not completely controlled by Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. As long as you have this awareness, just do whatever you want. Harvey nodded upon hearing this. I'll think about it. Tony fell into deep thought after hearing Harvey's words. He plans to join S.H.I.E.L.D. and plans to provide support in all aspects. Because of his personal strength, he can only protect himself and the people around him. If he wants to protect Blue Star, he still needs others in Blue Star to become strong. But looking at it now, he has to provide selective support. After all, there are insiders who cannot guarantee unity. Putting some of your own technology in the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. may cause some unpredictable troubles when used by insiders. I'm going to rest and relax for a few days, and then I'll go back to the universe. Not only those materials, don't forget to study the technology of cosmic translators and cosmic communicators. That research will be of great use. Harvey saw that Tony understood, and instead of talking about S.H.I.E.L.D., he explained a few words, drank the wine in the glass, and left. When Tony saw Harvey leaving, he first destroyed all the food that he had not eaten just now, then stepped into the underground research room and started research. He also knows about the technology of cosmic translator and cosmic communicator, if it can be researched and separated. Not only will the control of the steel armor be greatly improved, but it will also be able to add an extremely convenient technology to Blue Star. It can be applied to various industries. If everything goes well, Blue Star can also use this to formally connect with various planets in the universe. Harvey just mentioned several empires in the universe. Although he did not explain in detail, it also proved that there are some extremely advanced civilizations in the universe. Blue Star's technology is obviously too weak compared to this. Therefore, he has only one goal, which is to constantly think and create and catch up with the civilization and technology of other planets in the universe. Strive to make Blue Star completely powerful, so that even if it leaves his protection in the future, it will still have a certain foothold in the universe. He would never let Blue Star have the situation that Harvey just said casually. Even if it was destroyed, no one would know about it. Harvey returned home, casually ordered some takeout, played a game he hadn't played in a month, and started playing comfortably. The technological level of Xandar Star is higher than that of Blue Star, but in terms of food, games and entertainment, Xandar Star is not as developed and comprehensive as Blue Star. So much so that he had no games to play on Xandar. This time he came back not only to bring something for Tony, but also because Harvey missed the life and food in Blue Star. Harvey spent 3 days on Blue Star without any purpose, just to rest. He drove to Chinatown to eat Chinese delicacies, and finally left Blue Star and set foot in the universe with satisfaction. If he doesn't want to eat those unpalatable things like iron and steel to evolve and gain more power, then now is not the time for him to aimlessly and waste his time. Xandar Star, Celebrity Hotel. Sonia saw that Mr. Cassidy, wearing golden armor, had really returned today. Mr. Cassidy, welcome back. I'll prepare breakfast for you right away. Sonia's beautiful eyes were a little surprised, but she immediately reacted and spoke. Harvey nodded in agreement, took out the cosmic communicator, and directly connected to the bounty hunter's website. During the 3 days he was away, some people wanted to assign tasks to him, and some wanted to invite him to meet him. But these people were not people Harvey knew, so he didn't care. He was looking at the next bounty missions, these disaster relief missions. For him now, money is a small thing, killing disasters and then eating the evolution points brought by them is the most important thing. Disasters like the giant insect that contains huge life energy are rare. For some disasters, some human forms cannot break the precepts, and some are elemental forms that disappear directly after killing them. Harvey doesn't have the habit of eating raw food directly, so he can't eat it even if he wants to. Otherwise, after 18 level 3 missions, he wouldn't have evolved more than 80 times. However, although those previous missions were not always fruitful and satisfactory to him, they also left him with various rumors on various planets. Now you just need to make your reputation a little louder and wait for an opportunity to start preaching about the void, and someone will take the initiative to come to your door. When Sonia brought the things up, she found that Mr. Cassidy was already sitting at the dining table, so she naturally and habitually started to serve Mr. Cassidy. After Harvey quickly wiped out his breakfast, he sat on the sofa and thought about the planned route. Mr. Cassidy, don't you have anything to do today? Sonia asked softly when she saw that Mr. Cassidy did not leave after breakfast, but was sitting on the sofa thinking. Normally, Cassidy would disappear as soon as he finished eating. He would leave early and come home late. Today, it was rare that he didn't leave immediately. However, after the words were spoken, Sonia felt a little nervous, as her question seemed to have crossed the line. I have something to do, but there's no need to rush out today. Hearing this, Harvey turned his head and glanced at Sonia, then turned back and said casually. All level 3 disaster tasks have been cleared, and now only level 2 disaster tasks remain. The difficulty of these tasks has been reduced a lot, but lowering the difficulty does not mean that it will no longer be troublesome, so we must consider which tasks should be prioritized for the fastest efficiency. Mr. Cassadine, you seem to be thinking about it every day. Is there anything that worries you? Hearing the response, Sonia's tense heart relaxed and she asked while putting away the dishes. It's not really a worry, everything I do is just for the planned goal. Harvey was a little surprised to find that Sonia talked a lot today, but when faced with these not-so-private issues, he did not cover them up and spoke. Mr. Cassadine, you are already so rich, but you still don't slack off. But he is able to resolutely implement his own plans and has an admirable will. Sonia heard Cassadine's words and praised with a smile. Is this a courtesy? Harvey heard Sonia's words, thought for a while and said with some uncertainty. No, this is true. Because not everyone can move forward and act according to their own plans. It's even difficult for most people to say what they really want to do and live a life that's easy to live by. So Mr. Cassadine, you have a clear plan for your future, which I sincerely admire. Sonia shook her head slightly, looked at Cassadine with some envy and said. Although I can't tell whether you are being polite or sincere. But these words are indeed quite pleasant to hear. After hearing this, Harvey stood up, took a look at Sonia, and said. After saying that, Harvey's figure had disappeared into Villa 7777 and set off to perform the mission. What exactly does Mr. Cassadine do? After Sonia saw Mr. Cassadine leave, she became more and more curious because Mr. Cassadine was very happy. There were many secondary bounty tasks, so Harvey went out early and came back late as usual, completing secondary tasks one after another. And the speed of completion is getting faster and faster, constantly refreshing the views of countless people. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 months passed, and all the second-level disaster bounty missions were completed by a bounty hunter named Cassadine. Moreover, disasters often symbolize creatures or things that are difficult for the civilization of a planet to solve, so those who can solve such disasters symbolize having divine power. For this reason, the name of Cassadine, the god of the void, is spread across various planets. The last level 2 disaster bounty is gone, this Cassadine is too powerful. On the first-hand starship, Yondu saw that the last disaster-type secondary bounty mission on the bounty hunters list also had Cassadine's name on it, and he immediately cursed. Chief, this Cassadine shouldn't be on a mission to hunt us down, right? One of Yondu's men also saw all this and said with some fear. How do I know? Yondu also said loudly and impatiently. Their interstellar predators also have predator organizations. In addition to plundering other interstellar ships, they also take on some missions to make money. However, their missions are often opposite to those of bounty hunters, which are darker. Because of this, interstellar predators and bounty hunters are old rivals. The second-level bounty hunters among the bounty hunters are all good players, but most of them fight alone. The formed interstellar teams are often very small in number, so they can't deal with a group of predators like him. Even if they encounter a troublesome second-level bounty hunter, the vast universe is so vast that as long as they want to hide, it will be difficult for the other party to pose a threat to them. After all, most of those who work as interstellar predators are veterans, and they basically won't stay on a certain planet for too long. And the planet where the various bounty hunters and their predators in the universe are entertained also has rules, and they can't cause too much trouble on it. Therefore, although interstellar predators and bounty hunters do not deal with each other, they both know that if the other party is completely dead, the tasks on my side will also be reduced, so a delicate balance is maintained between them. But now a level 3 bounty hunter like Cassadine, the god of the void, has appeared, completely breaking the balance. After the disaster mission is completed, are we going to turn around and fight against them as interstellar predators? To be honest, Yondu was not sure, and that was why he felt impatient and flustered. Not only Yondu felt impatient, but other members of the Marauders also felt uneasy and nervous. A guy who can directly descend to various planets, and whose strength is bottomless and can be called a god, may come to claim their lives at any time, and no one can calm down at this moment. You are overly worried. We mainly do designated tasks here, and the chances of meeting bounty hunters are relatively few. And there is a group of marauders that are more famous than us. If Cassadine wants to deal with them, he must deal with them first. If something happens to them by then, we will still have enough time to plan, right? Star-Lord felt the tense atmosphere, smiled on his face, and relaxed the atmosphere with a more relaxed tone. Cassidon's name has now become a synonym for death and power in the galaxy. Judging from so much information, Cassidon, the god of the void, can kill those terrifying disaster monsters like a chicken. Then when you want to catch or kill them, they will be very close to death. But Star-Lord is an optimist. As long as Cassidon doesn't target them, then they have nothing to worry about. Yondu was worried that Cassidon was targeting the entire Reaver organization, but when he heard Star-Lord's words, he saw the expressions of other men. Quote, "You're right, it's useless to think too much about things that haven't happened." Yondu covered up his worries and put a smile on his face. As Yondu smiled, the tense atmosphere dissipated a lot, but there was still a lingering sadness on the brows of each predator. That Cassidon was too terrifying, and he was directly on the opposite side of their predators, so it was impossible not to worry them. Compared to the worries and fears of the interstellar predators, the bounty hunter organization has completely regarded Cassidon as a godlike existence. Because of Cassidon's activeness, the reputation of their bounty hunters on various planets has improved a lot. Moreover, Cassidon is currently only doing disaster-type tasks, which to some extent has taken away some of their jobs, but not all of them. According to Cassidon, he has done so many tasks and earned enough money to consider quitting the bounty hunter field. Occasionally taking on some designated tasks depending on his mood, his life must be cool enough. Cassidon's activity for more than 3 months has officially made this name widely circulated on various planets, and this name is discussed everywhere. Bounty hunters from various planets in the universe, as well as residents of various planets, traveled thousands of miles and light years to come to Xandar to see if they could meet Cassidon. Some wanted to express their gratitude to Cassidon for saving their planet. Some want to come here to see if they can make some connections so that they can be more successful in the bounty hunting world in the future. Now Cassidon's reputation can make many people feel intimidated just by hearing his name. However, no one knows where Cassidon actually lives. They only know that Cassidon lives on Xandar. On this day, a group of bounty hunters registered at the city gate of Xandar. Is there really a chance to meet me? The planet Xandar is so big, it might not be easy to meet Cassidon himself, right? Just go to the bounty hunter bar and you'll know. Rumor has it that Cassidon first appeared in that bar. Several people with different skin colors and strangely dressed people walked into the city gate while chatting after registering. Wait, what do you mean by Cassidon? When Dam heard this name after hearing it for a long time, his eyes flashed and he quickly stopped them and asked. Dam's words made them look at each other in confusion. Instead of answering, they took out the cosmic communicator and looked at the information on the light and shadow. According to intelligence rumors, Cassidon, the god of the void, lives on Xandar, right? Yes, that's what the information on the light and shadow says. Then why does it look like this guard hasn't heard of it? Is it possible that you bought fake news? Please, don't say that. You and I traveled through so many wormholes and vomited twice on the way. Are you telling me that this might be fake news? The 5 bounty hunters all had extremely exciting expressions and started discussing. How about you tell me about Cassidon, the god of the void? Dam saw that when they mentioned Cassidon again, they used the honorific title of the god of the void. Although he felt it was impossible, he still handed over a few cigarettes and said in a friendly manner. Since you are so sensible, I will tell you something. Several bounty hunters saw the cigarette that Dam handed over and took it one by one. You and I explained the legend about the god of the void one by one. After listening to this, not only Dam's expression was wonderful, but so were the other guards. What does he look like? But Dam asked anyway just to be sure. The true appearance is unclear, but this is basically how he behaves. Just over 3 months after joining the bounty world, he has become a well-deserved myth in the bounty world. His name is now spread across every planet in the galaxy. We also came here because of the reputation. We want to see if we can meet this deity and have some connections with him. If you have some connections, the benefits will be huge. Okay, I've finished smoking this cigarette and we're leaving. Go to the bounty bar to see if the news is true or false. If this is false news, I have to kill the guy who spread the rumors. Several bounty hunters directly released an image and then left to their own devices. Damu recalled the figure wearing purple and gold armor and a golden mask, and his heart was constantly shaking. He remembered that the man named Kassadin had told him before that if he heard of his reputation in the future and he wanted something, he could go find him. He didn't take it seriously at the time, because glory is not so easy to create. Unexpectedly, in just a few months, Kassadin's name would already be heard throughout the galaxy. Damn, it seems we have really met this guy. The other guards around Dam saw Dam, who was down, and spoke. Kassadin, Kassadin, I remembered. Isn't this the name that looks like a big shot? Dam's opportunity has come. If you have any goals you want to achieve, go to him and you might be able to achieve it. After all, the goals that we find difficult to achieve in our lifetime may be just a matter of words to such a big man. The other guards were even more excited than Dam. That's what I said, but that Kassadin may have forgotten about me. He looks like a big shot, after all. Although he knew that Kassadin had really begun to achieve glory, Dam did not get carried away by the excitement. You should always give it a try if you have the chance, right? Perhaps the other party has remembered. A casual helping hand can free you from the ordinary job of guarding. Didn't you listen to what those bounty hunters just said? Kassadin is now worth at least more than 3 billion. It's more than 3 billion. Our monthly salary for doing this job is only about 15,000 yuan. If we want to earn more than 3 billion, we have to do hundreds of thousands of years to have that kind of wealth. When the guard asked how many years it would take, he counted on his fingers and said loudly, "How do you know there is no chance if you don't do it? We wanted to give it a try, but we didn't have the chance." Damn, do you want to be a guard here for the rest of your life? Several other guards encouraged Dam to give it a try. As colleagues for many years, they knew that the guard job was easy but didn't have much room for advancement. Only a few can be promoted and transferred to other positions to earn more money. Okay, let me go and give it a try. Dam saw how they were cheering him on, and he made a decision in his heart. If there is a turning point in life, no one would want to seize it and let themselves take off, achieve complete wealth and freedom, and reach the pinnacle of life. Even if the other party really doesn't remember me, I still have tried. If it's done, don't forget us and help us. Yes, Dam, don't forget our brothers. I haven't done it yet, so why do I seem to have already done it in your eyes? When Dam heard what they said, he was speechless. But assuming that Kassadin is really still on Xandar, it would not be difficult for them to investigate Kassadin's residence. Dam called up the guard information system and checked Kassadin's entry and exit records. It was discovered that Kassadin had never left the city since he arrived on Shandam more than 3 months ago. Moreover, after entering the city, the last information registered by Kassadin was at the Celebrity Hotel. Seeing this information made Dam feel a little frustrated. The Celebrity Hotel is a place he wouldn't dare to stay even if he wanted to stay for a day. At that time, Kassadin, who he thought was at a low point in his life, checked into a celebrity hotel as soon as he entered the city. After investigating the information, Dam also decided to take a look, hoping to bring some changes to his life. At the same time, in more than 2 months, Harvey completed 114 secondary bounty missions. The last secondary bounty mission was a disaster mission, and his wealth accumulated to 3.2 billion. Although the money is not much, it is enough for him. And in more than 2 months, he evolved 76 times, and now the total number of evolutions has reached an astonishing 457 times. After this disaster-type mission is gone, his evolution speed will obviously slow down a lot. With his current strength, as long as he doesn't run into some unreasonable opponents in the Marvel Universe, it's enough for him to protect himself. If he encounters a strong enemy that is difficult to defeat and pushes him into a hurry, he will eat iron, steel and vibranium, even if the process is a bit tortuous and painful. The most important thing is that his reputation has almost spread throughout the galaxy. So that he can start preparing the next plan. First he spread Void in the universe, and then after he got more hero templates and became stronger, he spread Void in Blue Star. The time now is July 2009, about a year away from 2011, when the Blue Star superheroes exploded. He still has enough time to strengthen himself before then. Mr. Kassadin, welcome back, the fruit tea you requested is ready. Sonia said with a smile after seeing Mr. Kassadin return. After several months of getting along, although she still didn't know what Mr. Cassidy did, he was already able to explain how long he would be out. So when Mr. Cassidy is ready to come back, she will prepare what Mr. Cassidy needs. Sonia, I'm ready to leave here. Harvey lay on the sun lounger, took a sip of his drink, and said. Now that he is going to the next step, he will definitely not continue to stay in a celebrity hotel. Instead, you have to buy a large piece of land to build or directly purchase your own mansion, so that you can arbitrarily modify the structure of the mansion. It is easier to move around and others can find him better. When Sonia heard this, her beautiful eyes flashed with astonishment. Mr. Cassidy has been living here for more than 3 months. I am grateful to have been able to serve Mr. Cassidy for such a long time. But soon Sonia suppressed the shock in her heart, stood aside quietly, the smile on her face did not change, and said softly. No matter whether she enjoys this time or not, she is still just a villa manager in a celebrity hotel, and Mr. Cassidy is a guest, so the separation is inevitable. I'm very satisfied with your service, so I have something to tell you. Will you work for me? The task is not very demanding. Help me take care of my mansion and help with some chores when I am not at home. Harvey saw Sonia's body stiffen, and he made a plan in his mind, and expressed his previous thoughts. After being together for several months, Sonia never inquired about his behavior or plans intentionally or unintentionally without him taking the initiative to tell her what he was doing. The appearance is impressive, the ability is capable, and he talks more than he talks, which meets Harvey's criteria for choosing a person to serve him. It's an honor for Mr. Cassidy to invite me. But I can ask, where is Mr. Cassidy's mansion? Sonia's beautiful eyes flashed when she heard these words. She responded politely and then asked. She is a Xandar planet and grew up here, although it is not difficult to travel to other planets. But if possible, it would be better to work closer to Xandar. It is best to still work on Xandar. In terms of plan, I plan to build a mansion on Xandar, so you don't have to worry about leaving home. The work may be a little more troublesome, but it won't make you live a life of observing other people's faces all the time, and you won't suffer any grievances. I wonder if you would like to work for me. Harvey also understood the meaning of Sonia's words and explained the situation. He knew that if he let Sonia believe in the void, Sonia would definitely be willing to work for him. However, he did not say that he would give Sonia the opportunity to join the void now. He was also testing Sonia to see if the honor she said was true or polite. If that's the case, I'd be delighted. Mr. Cassidy, please give me your advice in the future. After hearing these conditions, Sonia thought for a moment, bowed slightly, and said with a smile. Harvey originally had some temptations to talk about and try. After all, this was the first time he planned to choose someone similar to a butler to help him deal with some things. Since he was the first, Harvey naturally couldn't be careless. He never expected Sonia to agree so readily. You didn't even understand the remuneration, so you agreed. This surprised Harvey. Mr. Cassidy, you must have carefully considered your decision to invite me to work for you. And I believe Mr. Cassidy is definitely not a stingy person. Sonia shook her head slightly when she heard this and said with a smile. She often sees Mr. Cassidy deep in thought, and knows that before such a person does something, he will definitely weigh the pros and cons and consider various factors before taking action. Now that Mr. Cassidy is about to leave the celebrity hotel, he must have had a plan to invite her. Although she didn't know what Mr. Cassidy did, she knew that Mr. Cassidy was by no means an ordinary person. Once you say this, it doesn't seem that easy for me to treat you badly. Harvey said somewhat dumbly when he heard Sonia's casual compliment. I don't have high salary requirements. My current salary is 30,000 yuan per month. Including the year-end bonus, the average salary is 436,000 yuan a year. As long as Mr. Cassidy gives me a salary no less than this salary, then I will work for you. Hearing this, Sonia didn't mean to rip off her, and smiled and told her current salary standard. In fact, according to Harvey's standards, if he can find a butler who satisfies him, not to mention 500,000 or 1 or 2 million is not a problem. Okay, then if you work for me, I can give you 500,000 a year. I wonder if you are satisfied with this salary. But Harvey still said a relatively low price. This price is only a little higher than Sonia's salary, and Sonia will be obedient to him in the future. I am very satisfied. I wonder when I can officially work for you. Sonia didn't think the price was low when she heard it, but asked proactively. In 1 month, I will stay here for another month. When my mansion is built, you can officially work for me. Harvey heard that Sonia still agreed and did not test further, so he said again. When Sonia heard that Mr. Cassidy would stay here for another month before leaving, she immediately understood that those just now were all Mr. Cassidy's temptations. Okay. However, Sonia didn't say much, but nodded slightly in response. At this moment, a communication was transmitted to Sonia's contact machine. Mr. Cassidy, there is someone below to convey the message to you, asking if you remember a person named Dam. Sonia glanced at the information above and asked. Dam, remember, let him come up to see me. After hearing this, Harvey recalled the impression of this name in his mind, remembered that it was the city gate guard of Xandar, and said. Since he has made a promise, he will naturally not forget other people's names. Moreover, he wants the Void cult to spread in Xandar, and the best targets are those guards who also serve the race of Xandar but have a relatively low status. Okay, I'll pick him up. Sonia nodded after hearing this and left. Mr. Cassidy has been living here for several months. This is the first time she has seen someone come to Mr. Cassidy, so she is also a little curious about this visitor. And in the lobby on the first floor of the Celebrity Hotel. Dam sat on the welcoming sofa in the hall, looking at the various magnificent and luxurious decorations around him, feeling extremely nervous. According to his connections and knowledge, only some high-ranking officers from the Nova Corps could live in places like the Celebrity Hotel. And for a person like him, if nothing special happens, he will never interact with a place like the Celebrity Hotel for a lifetime. Even if they want to check the Celebrity Hotel, it is not something that city guards like them can check. Fortunately, after asking the front desk, he learned that the Celebrity Hotel did have a guest named Cassidy staying here. It's just that he can't go up directly without the guest's permission. The front desk can only help convey some news and ask the guest's wishes. Only with the guest's permission can he be qualified to go up for a meeting. To be honest, Dam felt very uneasy, because even if Cassidy lived here, it was hard to say whether such a big shot would still remember him, who had only met him once. But at this moment, there was a ding. The door of the suspended elevator opened, and a young blonde woman with a pure appearance and a good figure came out. The woman went to the front desk to chat for a few words, and then walked in his direction. Quote. When Dam saw this beautiful woman, it was impossible not to feel nervous. Mr. Dam, Mr. Cassidy said that he still remembers you and that he is waiting for you above. Please come with me. I'll take you to see Mr. Cassidy. Sonia was a little surprised when she saw what Dam was wearing, but she still came to Dam and said extremely politely. Does he still remember? Dam saw this beautiful woman coming in front of him, and when he heard these words, he was overjoyed and a little shocked. I didn't expect that a small person like me could actually be remembered by such a big person. Then, Dam followed Sonia and stepped onto the suspended ladder all the way to the 77th floor. Dam followed Sonia and kept looking at the surrounding environment, his eyes filled with wonder and some envy. It is extremely luxurious and has all the facilities for entertainment and entertainment. 1 day's rent here is equal to 1 month's salary. It can be said that one cannot afford to live here for the rest of his life. Then a passage passed by, and Dam saw a familiar figure wearing a battle armor. Before Dam could say anything, the figure wearing a golden armor and exuding a mysterious and solemn temperament had turned around. Dam, I didn't expect you to still remember me. Harvey turned to look at Dam, with some smile in his words. Harvey didn't mind being friendly to those who were willing to show kindness. And as long as Damu joins the Void, if the plan goes well, the Void can directly break into Xandar's army. Compared with the Nova Legion, the status of the General Army can be said to be in a different place, so there are more and more people in the army who are eager for change. I also thought of you after hearing about your reputation. Dam's face turned red when he heard this, and he said a little embarrassedly. Although it's not a bad thing to be honest, sometimes you can get away with talking to others and talking to ghosts. But I can understand you. After all, when you first met me, I was still a nobody. It's understandable that you forgot. Now that you've remembered to stop by and visit me, just sit down and have a chat with me. Harvey said with a smile when he saw Dam's honest look. Sonia was surprised and curious when she heard Mr. Cassidy's words. However, she still remembered her duty and left to get drinks and wine. Good. Dam nodded when he heard the words, but his walking movements were a little stiff, and it was obvious that he was not as calm as he appeared on the inside. But there was nothing he could do about it. When he met for the first time, he faced Cassidy, a mysterious man who looked like a big shot, and he was full of pressure when registering. Now that we have only seen each other for a few months, Cassidy really has a tendency to regain his glory. In addition, he has to keep his head down when asking for help, so he can't control his nervousness at all. Don't be nervous, I am a person who keeps my promises. Since I promised you at that time, that promise will be valid at all times. But you only have one chance. Think carefully about what you need. Whether it's giving you a sum of money that will make people envious for a lifetime, you won't have to squander the wealth at work. Let you get rid of the conventional lifespan of your race and have a lifespan of hundreds or thousands of years. Even if you want to join the Nova Corps and want someone to recommend you, I can do it for you. Harvey saw a nervous look and his tone was extremely calm. Under Harvey's calm tone, the words he spoke carried a crazy allure. Can you recommend me to join the Nova Corps? When Dam heard Harvey's words, his eyes showed shock, and his words couldn't help but contain words of awe. Of course, you must have heard about my reputation when you came to me today. In my name, Cassidy, I have communicated with the top management of the Nova Legion and it is not difficult to recommend someone to join the Nova Legion. The reason why you came to me is to join the Nova Corps, right? You only have one chance. As long as you say yes, then I will move around for you. Harvey saw that instead of focusing on life-changing strength and wealth, Dam focused on the Nova Corps first, and there was no surprise. The Nova Corps is a symbol of strength, power, and wealth on Sandom. Dam is also from Xandar, and it is normal to be excited when he learns that he is expected to join the Nova Corps. Quote. When Dam saw that Cassidy said he could recommend him without hesitation and mentioned that he only had one chance, he calmed down a lot in his excitement. Because the several things that Cassidy said can be achieved are extremely amazing. Whether it is worry-free wealth, the power to change your life, or even extending your life, it is full of temptation. The lifespan of Xandar people is neither too long nor too short. As long as they are not sick, they can live for 200 years. Because of this, the class of Xandar people is more clear. The elite and wealthy classes have more time to use their wealth and power. So the rich are getting richer, and the poor are not without opportunities to change their lives, but it is not that easy to climb up. Dam has no hatred for the rich, but he knows that it is not that easy to succeed in life. Therefore, even if he has a longer lifespan, if he does not seize the opportunity to change his life and gain the power to change his life may be mediocre. He can get some power by joining the Nova Legion, but he also needs to start from 1 star to obtain the Nova armor. If he is lucky enough to fight for 100 years and achieve great military exploits, he will hopefully change the class of himself and his descendants. But this presupposes that he did not die on the battlefield during the years of fighting. At this time, Sonia brought some drinks and several bottles of wine and pushed the cart over. Sonia didn't know what Mr. Cassidy talked to Mr. Dam, but she first served Mr. Cassidy a drink. Excuse me, Mr. Dam, would you like a drink or a drink? She looked at Dam again, lightly opened her red lips and made a sweet sound. Liquor. Dam saw the ages marked on the 3 bottles of wine that Sonia brought up. They were basically fine wines that had been collected for many years. Okay, Sonia nodded slightly when she heard this, then opened the cork of the wine with a cork screwdriver and elegantly poured wine for Dam. Then, with a slight push from his slender jade fingers, a glass of fine wine filled with 1/3 of the glass was placed in front of Dam. Thanks. Dam's eyes were always attracted by Sonia and he thanked her. You're welcome. Hearing this, Sonia smiled slightly on her pure and pleasant face, and then came to stand 3 meters away from Cassidy. Dam looked at where Sonia was standing and the figure opposite him. Only now did he realize where he was and who he was facing. Even those who join the Nova Corps, not everyone can afford to spend money in celebrity hotels. To talk about what a man pursues in his life, to put it simply, it is wealth, strength, and power. As long as one of these 3 is possessed, a man can bring everything he wants and live a life that is enviable by ordinary people. Not to mention power, the galaxy-famous Cassidon in front of him possesses at least two of the wealth and powers. Mr. Cassidine, can you tell me how powerful the power you have given me to change my life is? This made Dam's thoughts clear immediately, and he said with a serious face. I can give you the power to get whatever you want. Harvey also noticed the way Dam looked at Sonia just now, and faced this question, he said calmly. Sonia didn't know what happened, but she heard Mr. Cassidon's words. She always felt like she was on a pirate ship, because what Mr. Cassidon said sounded like he was engaging in pyramid schemes. It gives people the power to gain everything they can. This cake is so delicious that Sonia can't even eat it. However, no matter how speechless she was inside, Sonia didn't show it, or even rolled her eyes, but stood quietly aside. After I get it, can I join the Nova Corps if I want to? But Dam knew Cassidon's current reputation, so he didn't have any doubts, but asked with some emotion. As long as you want, of course. Harvey nodded upon hearing this. Dam was very happy that he wanted to do this, because according to the original plan, as long as Dam joined the Void, he will let Dam gradually rise, and then break into the Nova Corps to recruit more believers in the Void. Already has this ambition without his instructions now, which is of course better. With that power, I can also get amazing wealth, just like you. Dam's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he asked excitedly. It's unlikely in a short time, but it won't take long for you to earn the wealth I have now with the power you have gained. Harvey shook his head slightly when he heard this and said. Part of the reason why he was able to earn more than 3 billion yuan by working as a bounty hunter in 3 months was because he was now strong enough. What's more important is that he has the ability of Void Walker Cassidon, and the way and efficiency in completing tasks is almost impossible for others to copy. Can't it be done for a short time? I understand, Mr. Cassidon. I want the power to change my life, please give me this chance. After hearing this, Dam was not discouraged, but strengthened his thoughts. Can. Harvey nodded upon hearing this, stretched out his hand, and purple energy shot out from his fingers and poured directly into Dam's body. Suddenly, Dam's body soared into the air, his appearance began to become younger, and his body's muscle lines became more explosive, full of power. Quote. Sonia saw all this from the side with a look of disbelief. It turns out that Mr. Cassidine is not a pie maker or a pyramid scheme, but actually has some incredible abilities. Only more than 10 seconds passed. When Dam opened his eyes, he felt that his 5 senses had been enhanced. A carp jumped up, and the surge of power made Dam jump. With a bang, his head hit the ceiling directly. Sonia was shocked when she saw Dam's strength in leaping 6 meters high. Sonia, wait a minute and you can calculate how much it will cost to repair these. When Harvey saw that Dam had failed to control his power and caused some damage, he didn't mind and warned Sonia. Okay, Mr. Cassidon. After hearing these words, Sonia quickly recovered from her stunned state and nodded. But Sonia's heart has already stirred up a storm. Cassidon can give others a physique beyond ordinary people. If he can give her this kind of power, will her life also change? Ah! Dam crashed through the ceiling, supported his head with both hands and broke away. Then he saw Ben yelling below and quickly made a move to relieve himself. The process was so smooth and easy that Dam didn't feel any tingling sensation in his feet. This made Dam look at his hands in disbelief when he stood up, and patted his thigh. Although he exercises regularly, his fighting ability and physical fitness are not even weaker than many people in the Legion who do not wear Nova armor. But he is far from being able to jump from a height of 6 meters without feeling any pain, and he does not have the extraordinary physique to jump 6 meters high. Is this the power you gave me, Mr. Cassidon? Immediately, Dam said incredulously. If I only have this little power, how dare I say that I will give you the power to gain everything? This is just your beginning, you can get more power in the future. Harvey saw excitement and said slowly. So how do I get more power? Dam was a little embarrassed when he heard that the power he possessed was described as a tiny bit, but when he heard Cassidon's words, he spoke with some eagerness. If you want to get more power, you need to understand the Void and believe in the Void religion. That will bring you countless times more power than you have now. Harvey saw Dam's heart moved and told him the conditions. Understand the void. The void cult. Dam was filled with confusion after hearing this. Suddenly, Dam's eyes became empty. In the past few seconds, purple energy came out of the air and poured into Dam's body again, transforming Dam's physique. Sonia looked at all this, her eyes flickering, not knowing what she was thinking. Harvey waited patiently for Dam to wake up. He gave Dam a promise, so he gave Dam some extra life energy to enhance Dam's physical fitness, which was considered as fulfilling his original promise. As long as others want to, he can give anyone a chance to join the void. Not to mention the entire Shandam star, as long as 1/5 joins the void, it can bring him countless void energy. The 100 million void energy exchanged for the tyrant alien cannot be said to be close at hand, but it is already on the way. When he gets the ability of tyrant alien, in this universe where technology is everywhere, his strength will reach a new level. Thank you, the great Lord Cassidon, for giving me the opportunity to join the void. Dam passed for 2 minutes and his eyes began to recover, but when he looked at Cassidon, his eyes were full of horror and awe, and he knelt down on one knee and said with great respect. He saw a figure as big as a galaxy in golden armor, and that figure was exactly the same as Lord Cassidon in front of him. Knowing the greatness of the void and how powerful Lord Cassidon is, Lord Cassidon is most likely in the process of recovering his strength. Since you believe in the void, I want to tell you something. There are people and things everywhere in the universe who believe in the void. It won't be long before I establish the void cult on Xandar, and by then you will also become a member of the void cult. The void divine religion only has 3 commandments, please remember them for me. 1. After obtaining the gift of the void, you will be able to swallow anything with energy and evolve to gain more power, but you must not swallow living things. 2. I won't care about causing disputes and causing some deaths with my increasingly powerful power, but I must not cannibalize myself no matter what. 3. Stay rational at all times. Don't be swayed by desire and become an irrational monster. If you become such a monster, I will personally come and execute you. There is also a teaching that the Great Void will give all creatures the opportunity to believe in the void. As long as they are pious enough, the void will respond. Harvey saw awe in his face and explained the situation. Remember Lord Cassidon's teachings. Dam was ecstatic when he heard the last teaching, and couldn't help but smile on his face. This means that his companions may also be able to join the void with him and gain life-changing power. I hope to see you active in the near future. Harvey saw excitement and said with some expectation in his tone. Master Cassidon, you have given me the opportunity to change my life, and I will not let you down. I am willing to go through fire and water for Lord Cassidon. Dam nodded deeply when he heard this. When Harvey saw the appearance of Dam's fanatical followers, he was a little curious about what Dam had seen. However, when he asked, it seemed that he didn't understand it, so he didn't ask. Well, let's experience your power. Harvey just nodded slightly and said with some approval. Yes. After hearing this, Dam stood up, bowed deeply to Harvey, and left in a hurry. Harvey and Sonia were the only 2 people left in the villa. Ask whatever you want. Harvey saw Sonia's hesitant expression and spoke. Mr. Cassidon, what is the void you just mentioned? When Sonia heard that it was okay to ask, she could no longer hold back the curiosity in her heart and asked immediately. You can understand it as a symbol of a place or a certain will. If you believe in the void and get a response from the void, you can gain sustainably enhanced power similar to rebirth, as well as a long lifespan. Get rid of the shackles of common sense and peep into the more mysterious truths of the world. After hearing this, Harvey glanced at Sonia and said, you can gain power by believing in the void. Doesn't it cost anything? Sonia felt a little moved in her heart when she heard that she could get power beyond common sense. The void will give anyone a chance to join the void. But it's impossible to say there's no cost. First, the appearance will become younger and younger, and eventually it will probably be fixed near adulthood. If the appearance changes, it will be easy for others to discover that you are an anomaly. Also, the appetite will become very large, and a large amount of food needs to be eaten every day. But none of the above is a big price to pay. The most important price to pay attention to is the need to be constantly vigilant about your growing power. Otherwise, it may become too powerful and cause it to lose its true nature and become a monster that only knows how to evolve by eating. So you need a strong psychological quality to resist the temptation of power. From now on, when you work for me, you need to be responsible for my daily chores just like now. Also, you need to help me observe these guys when I am not around. If they engage in cannibalism and lose their minds, just record it and report it to me. Harvey didn't hide what he said, but explained it clearly. After all, Sonia is different from those people. He also wants Sonia to be his housekeeper, who can handle daily chores for him and observe the situation of each member of the Void cult in the future. Therefore, let Sonia have a deeper understanding of the situation to facilitate future actions. With powerful power and more choices, it will be easier to get what you want and your life will be easier. Why would you lose your mind? Hearing this, Sonia understood why Mr. Cassidy often ate so much in one meal, but she still had some doubts about it. Sonia, except for a few simple intelligent creatures. The desires of most intelligent creatures are never-ending. When something you dreamed of in the past because you didn't have the power becomes easily available, once you get it, you will immediately develop the next thing you desire. Things that I didn't dare to do in the past because I didn't have the strength, I will now have the courage to do. As your power becomes stronger and you know more and more things, your behavior and personality will inevitably undergo some changes. It is very important to be able to maintain one's own sanity and bottom line during this process. Harvey stood up, looked down at Dam, who was striding out of the celebrity hotel, and said, "Then why are you still willing to give them power?" After hearing this, Sonia thought for a moment and said with some confusion. But as soon as the words came out of her mouth, Sonia looked at Cassidy's figure, realized something, and showed an expression of sudden realization. "Yes, I am also among the vast majority." Harvey noticed the change in Sonia's expression and said, "If you want to live freely in the Marvel world, you must give yourself the power to fear nothing." He didn't want to suddenly encounter an enemy that he couldn't deal with his own strength in the long time to come. Then can I also believe in the Void and join the Void? After Sonia understood, she became more and more tempted and asked, "Have you thought it through? The prospect of gaining power is something that people dream of, but it will also mean that you will be exposed to a world that is completely different from the past." Harvey's eyes flickered when he heard this, and he said the last sentence of temptation. Only if Sonia's answer satisfies him, then he can safely leave some matters to Sonia. I've thought it through, and the opportunity to change my life is right in front of me. If I hadn't caught it, I might regret it when I think about it later. And if I want to help you monitor those people, I might not have the guts to do it now. And Mr. Cassidy, you specifically told me so clearly, you probably want me to think clearly now whether I am willing to join the Void, right? If you are willing, I will officially become your butler to manage many matters for you. If you didn't think about it clearly the first time, you might also let me join Void, but you should choose other candidates to help you handle more things. Sonia looked at Mr. Cassidy, with a touching smile on her pure and lovely face. Being smart is a good thing, but being too smart is bad. When Harvey heard this, he did not answer directly, but answered the question. Yeah, I'll remember that. Mr. Cassidy's words contained some warning, but Sonia heard the hint of recognition and nodded. After hearing these words, Harvey made the final confirmation that the system had reminded him 2 months ago whether to let Sonia know the Void request. With Harvey's confirmation, Sonia closed her eyes and felt that the scenery in front of her had changed drastically. Harvey looked at Sonia with her eyes closed and knew that Sonia had been curious about him a long time ago. No matter whether it is about his identity or the Void where he is full of curiosity. However, Sonia never took the initiative to ask or did anything extraordinary before getting her answer. This was also one of the important factors behind Harvey's decision to make Sonia his housekeeper on Xandar. However, Harvey did not give Sonia more power, because Sonia's strength suddenly increased too much, and her character and behavior may deteriorate. Anyway, Sonia usually doesn't need to do anything, she just needs to take care of some trivial matters for him. In addition, Sonia usually has a lot of free time, so she can do whatever she needs to do. There is no need to fight for the time being. She has plenty of time to grow, so just take your time. Thank you, Lord Cassidy, for the opportunity. A few minutes later, when Sonia came back to her senses, her eyes were filled with wonder. She suppressed the shock in her heart, bowed slightly, and spoke softly. She finally understood why Mr. Dam, after believing in the void, was in awe of Lord Cassidan. Because of her body as big as a galaxy, she truly felt her own insignificance. It is a supreme honor to be blessed by such a great and unknown existence. And I can get closer to this kind of existence in the future and get more powerful power, which is already a blessing. Just keep the original title. In the future, you only need to monitor and collect information on whether those people have any unusual behavior when I am not around. Usually, it's the same as the work we talked about before, just act normally. I won't owe you any salary. Harvey saw that Sonia also changed her name to him and gave instructions casually. Okay, Mr. Cassidan. Sonia nodded when she heard these words. But soon, Sonia felt a feeling of hunger in her stomach, as if she hadn't eaten for a long time. This made Sonia raise her eyebrows, but she still had no words. Don't hold it back, let's go find something to eat first. Harvey noticed that Sonia was holding her stomach but not saying anything, so he spoke. Thank you, Mr. Cassidan, for your tolerance, but it doesn't matter to me. This should also be a part that you must endure after gaining strength. If I can't bear the initial hunger, I may not be able to escape the fate of becoming an irrational monster in the future and eventually being killed by you, Mr. Cassidan. Sonia shook her head slightly when she heard this and said seriously. Then please help me report the repair costs. Harvey was a little surprised when he heard Sonia's words, but he acquiesced to this behavior and said casually. Before Sonia gained more power and tasted the temptation brought by power, she was already willing to endure hunger and polish her mind. This idea is good, but it is hard to say whether it can be implemented smoothly. If Sonia can really do it, then Sonia's future achievements will not be lower. Because after joining the void, you will no longer lack strength, and more importantly, you will be able to maintain your sanity at all times. As long as you don't lose your mind and continue to dominate everything with your own will, then your strength will definitely become stronger step by step as time goes by. After hearing this, Sonia agreed and went to the second floor of the villa to calculate the cost of the damage caused by Mr. Dam's collision. Harvey took out the cosmic communicator and began to check some land purchase requirements on Xandar Star. After investigation, it was found that if you are not from the race of Xandar, the requirements for buying a house and land here are not low. If aliens want to buy a house on Xandar, they must live there for at least 5 years. And if you want to buy land, you have to live here for more than 10 years, and you must not have any violation records on Xandar during this period. To put it bluntly, household registration is required, and Harvey is not a rule-abiding person. Knowing that this thing would be much easier for the people of Xandar's race to buy. Sonia, I want to bid for a piece of land in your name. The land auction will be held in 3 days. Come with me then. Harvey was not a stickler for rules, so he couldn't wait that long, so he spoke directly. Good. Sonia had just finished counting and came down. When she heard these words, she immediately agreed without hesitation. She knew that Mr. Cassidan purchased the land to build the Void Cult on Xandar, where she would work in the future. Even then, she may be thought by others to be kept by Mr. Cassidan, or some other rumors may spread. Sonia might have hesitated before, but having seen the greatness of the Void, she had nothing to hesitate about. Besides, if Mr. Cassidan was greedy for her body, he would have been able to find a way to trick him long ago. Since this has not been done before, it means that Mr. Cassidan simply purchased the land in her name. Fortunately, Mr. Dam only broke the ceiling and did not damage some decorations and artworks, so the repair cost is only 6,000. It will take the maintenance guy 2 hours to fix it. If you feel it's noisy, you can go out and play casually for a while. After Sonia agreed, Yu pointed at the communicator in her hand, and then drew a projection. After scanning, the system automatically evaluates the compensation and repair costs. Just ask them to come now. After seeing this, Harvey stretched out his hand a little and paid directly without paying attention when he heard that he was about to go out. He worked hard for several months, completed a lot of bounty tasks, and completely built up his reputation. Now he just wants to take a break, eat some delicious food every day, and find something to do to pass the time instead of running around. If it wasn't for buying the land, he wouldn't even bother to bid. Harvey just lay down on the sofa, picked up a drink and drank it. Quote. Sonia saw Mr. Cassidy lying on the sofa like a salted fish, and understood that Mr. Cassidy obviously did not plan to go out today. As for why, Sonia didn't ask, nor was she qualified to ask. However, Mr. Cassidy did not intend to leave. Sonia took out the communicator, and when she contacted the maintenance people, she told them to bring the sound insulation film so as not to disturb the guests. Immediately, Sonia stood aside and waited. There was a feeling of hunger in her stomach. The strange thing was that although this hunger made her feel unbearable, it did not make her feel weak. It seems that eating is just a desire, but not something that must be done when you are hungry. Just thinking about the cause of this hunger made her more and more hungry. So Sonia began to think about the auction in a few days, and what clothes she should wear so as not to embarrass Mr. Cassidy. To be honest, Sonia still doesn't know what Mr. Cassidy's identity is. However, judging from his appearance and image, Mr. Cassidy has the aura of a big shot. As a companion, she must pay attention to her image no matter what. After Dam left the celebrity hotel, he felt that his body was lighter than ever before. And there was a steady stream of strength in his body, making him walk faster and faster. Dam wanted to tell his friends this good news, so that they could also believe in the void. In this way, they can change their lifelong destiny of being a gatekeeper. But Dam decided to wait a few more days. Dam is not a person who forgets his roots, but he must at least understand the power he now has in his body. Then show it to your companions, so that they can believe in the great void with you. Although Lord Cassidy did not give direct instructions, the teaching of the void cult is that the void will give everyone a chance. It means that he can persuade others to believe in the void. Just thinking about Damu made me feel happy, and I was glad that I didn't use the only opportunity to join the Nova Corps. Master Cassidy did not lie to him. As long as his power becomes stronger and stronger, he will be able to get everything he wants. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Sonia saw that Mr. Cassidy had not gone out these days. Apart from being responsible for delivering food to Mr. Cassidy at meal times, she can basically rest as she pleases. Sonia also tasted some things briefly and found that the food that was originally just used to satisfy her appetite became full of energy. Eating it will continuously fill your body and slowly change your body. The more you eat, the more energy you will get. But Sonia didn't eat too much because she still works for celebrity hotels. In this environment with many familiar people, if you suddenly overeat, you will easily expose some problems and be regarded as an outlier. Although it was unbearable to endure the desire in her heart, Sonia had already decided to treat it as a test, so she only ate the same amount of food as before every day. This day is the day when the auction for Xandar Star will be held. Sonia wore a tube-top gown with fine patterns, and her blonde hair was slightly curly. The evening gown vividly displayed Sonia's tall figure and exquisite and graceful flowing lines. "How much does this dress cost?" Harvey asked, a little surprised when he saw that Sonia had changed her clothes and her temperament had changed from pure and charming to hot and charming, and she also exuded a nice fragrance. "Since you plan to buy land in my name, you still have to do enough superficial work. As for the price, it's not worth mentioning. Mr. Cassidy just thinks it's pleasing to the eye." Hearing this, Sonia showed a charming smile on her face and said, "Celebrity Hotel only receives successful people, so the people in charge of each villa are the faces of Celebrity Hotel. Therefore, every year, villa managers need to pass assessments on age, appearance, figure, knowledge, education, etiquette, etc. Sonia has been able to work here for 10 years, so she is naturally extremely confident in her appearance." Although Harvey wanted to say that he was just participating in an auction, there was no need to make it grand. "Well, it looks quite pleasing to the eye. You can ask me to reimburse you later." But since Sonia had specially changed her clothes and explained that she wanted to do some superficial work, Harvey didn't say such an interesting words and said casually, "Then thank you, Mr. Cassidy. The auction will start in an hour. The car has been prepared for you and is just downstairs." Sonia smiled slightly in approval and said softly, "She has already asked Mr. Cassidy, and Mr. Cassidy did not buy any transportation on Xandar. Naturally, she has to be responsible for transportation matters." Harvey nodded after hearing this and followed Sonia downstairs. When she first came out of the hall, Sonia changed her clothes and her demeanor changed dramatically. She changed from innocent and pleasant to charming. Even if they had been colleagues for many years, they had never seen Sonia like this before, so they were all a little surprised when they saw her. But when they saw Sonia walking side by side with Cassadine, a guest in Villa 7777, they all instantly became interested in gossip. They had also heard of Cassadine as a guest and had lived here for several months, but they had never seen Cassadine come down from Villa number 7777. I haven't even heard of any party held at number 7777, where some beauties were invited to spend the night. So there are many rumors, such as Cassadine is not close to women, but I didn't expect that this posture was taken by Sonia. Harvey felt these eyes and didn't pay attention. He just walked outside, and there was already a luxury car waiting outside. The driver is an old man wearing a suit. Although he looks old, his upright posture looks very capable. He saw Cassadine and Sonia coming and took the initiative to open the back door. Harvey and Sonia got into the car directly and left. For so many years, so many people have tried to take Sonia away but failed. How did this Cassadine do it? Haven't you heard of Cassadine? The news has spread to other planets outside Xandar. I'm so busy every day. I don't have time to read a lot of news about Xandar, let alone news about other planets. If you know anything about it, please tell me. He is the most famous level 3 bounty hunter now. He is called Cassadine, the god of the void, because his strength is close to that of a god. His legendary deeds are told throughout the galaxy. Is it such an exaggeration? More powerful than some senior officers of the Nova Corps. I can't say this, but if you don't believe it, just check out the alien rumors about Cassadine and you will know. Some beautiful women in the lobby of the celebrity hotel all started gossiping. However, even in the midst of gossip, they all had their own precautions and did not say words that might bring trouble to themselves because of other people's words. They are both colleagues and competitors in celebrity hotels, competing for performance and ability. When several women heard about it, they looked it up and found that Cassadine's reputation on Xandar was not obvious, but his reputation on the alien planet was frightening. But to be honest, this is the first time I saw Sonia, not in work clothes, but in a dress traveling with guests. This kind of thing is really unprecedented. She has been working for 10 years. If she saves everything, she can choose to leave her job at any time to provide for retirement. Is it possible to be deceived at this last moment? I wonder if Sonia will suffer a big loss in the future. You'll find out if you wait and see the good show. Several women gathered around, marveling. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.